Have you ever felt like a symphony playing out of tune? A magnificent composition, lost in dissonance. A collection of perfect instruments, each capable of profound beauty, yet together creating a sound that is jarring and exhausting. This feeling, this inner friction, is the great malady of our time. We live in a world that is loud, a world that demands we play notes that are not our own, at a tempo that breaks our spirit. We are told to build, to strive, to add more layers to our being, hoping that one more achievement, one more possession, one more distraction will finally make the music sound right. But it never does. The result is a quiet exhaustion, a fatigue that sleep cannot touch. It is the weariness of a soul that has forgotten its own song. It is the ache of living as a fragment, when you were designed to be a whole. Within you, beneath the noise, beneath the expectations and the disappointments, lies a perfect score, a divine blueprint, a silent, intricate pattern of light and shadow, sound and silence. This is the sacred geometry of your soul. This journey, the one we are about to begin together, is not another task to be completed. It is not an escape from your life, but a journey deeper into it. It is a return, a homecoming to the pristine architecture of your own being. It is an act of remembering what you have always known, in the silent chambers of your heart. So I invite you now, not to listen with your ears, but with the full depth of your awareness. Find a space where you can be still, even for just a moment. Take a breath, a slow, deliberate breath that travels beyond your lungs, into the very core of you. And with your exhale, release the need to understand everything at once. Give yourself permission to simply be, to be present with the dissonance, without judgment. Because it is only by standing in the center of the storm that we can find the eye. It is only by acknowledging the scattered pieces that we can begin to perceive the unseen whole. We are not here to build anything new. We are here to uncover what has always been there, waiting patiently beneath the dust of modern life. We are here to learn how to read the blueprint, to hear the fundamental note, and to finally allow our own unique, magnificent symphony to play. We begin with the mirror, not a physical mirror, but the one you carry inside, the mirror of the self. Look into it. What do you see? If you are like so many of us, you do not see a single, seamless reflection. You see a web of fractures, a constellation of cracks. Your eyes are drawn immediately to a shard from the past, a sharp-edged memory of a failure. Another piece reflects a criticism someone leveled at you years ago, its light still distorted. You see the shard of a heartbreak, the crack of a disappointment, the fragment of a dream you let go. And you have come to believe a profound and devastating lie. You have come to believe that you are these broken pieces, that your identity is the sum total of your fractures. You are not a person who experienced failure. You are a failure. You are not a person who was left. You are unlovable. You are not a person who feels tired. You are weak. Each shard becomes a name you call yourself in the dark, a label that feels more real than your own skin. This is the first and most fundamental distortion of our sacred geometry. It is the belief that the damage has replaced the essence. This belief creates an impossible conflict, a silent war waged within the borders of your own being, a deep, resonant part of your soul, the part that remembers wholeness, yearns to be unified. It longs for peace, for a smooth and clear reflection. It remembers a time before the first stone was cast, before the first crack appeared, and yet, another part of you, the part that has appointed itself the guardian of the shards, resists this healing with all its might. It holds onto the broken pieces, arranging and rearranging them, obsessing over their sharp edges. It tells you that looking too closely at the whole mirror would be an act of supreme arrogance, a denial of your reality. This guardian self is not your enemy. It is a misguided protector. It believes that by focusing on the breaks, it can prevent future ones. It believes that if it just analyzes the cracks enough, it can understand why they happened and stop them from ever happening again. And so you remain frozen. You desire wholeness, but you are addicted to the familiar pain of the fragments. You want to heal, but you procrastinate because the task of gluing together a million pieces seems monumental, impossible. Where would you even begin? The fear is that if you start, you will only confirm that the pieces no longer fit, that something essential has been lost forever. Now, I want you to listen with the deepest part of your being. I want you to receive this message not as an idea, but as a fundamental truth. You are not the broken pieces. You are not the cracks. You are the mirror itself. The whole, vast, perfect mirror that holds the memory of the impacts, but is not defined by them. An event of breakage is temporary. The essence of the mirror, its nature, is eternal. Its capacity to reflect light is inherent. The cracks are experiences. They are not your identity. They are lines etched upon a surface, but the surface itself remains. Your wholeness is not something you have to rebuild. It is something you have to rediscover. It has been there all along, patiently waiting, underneath the stories you have told yourself about your own brokenness. The journey is not one of frantic gluing and fixing. It is one of gentle, courageous recognition of the wholeness that was never, ever lost. In Japan, there is an ancient art form called kintsugi. When a cherished piece of pottery breaks, it is not thrown away. The masters of kintsugi repair it, but they do not use invisible glue to hide the damage. They use lacquer mixed with pure gold. They accentuate the cracks, turning the lines of breakage into veins of shimmering beauty. The philosophy behind this art is that the object is more beautiful for having been broken. The scars are not a source of shame, but a testament to its history, its resilience, its journey. The repaired piece is more valuable, more unique than the one that was never tested. This is the metaphor for your soul. Every crack, every shard you have been so afraid of is an opportunity for gold. The gold is your awareness. The gold is your compassion. The gold is the wisdom you extracted from the pain. To deny your cracks is to refuse the gold. Your healing does not come from pretending you were never broken. It comes from lovingly tracing the lines of your own experience with the gold of your present-day consciousness and declaring that this map of survival has made you infinitely more beautiful. So how do we begin this sacred art upon ourselves? We do not begin with force. We begin with the gentle act of gathering. Imagine all the pieces of your life, the shards of your identity, laid out before you on a soft cloth. Take a moment and begin to name them without judgment. Here is the shard of my childhood shyness. Here is the shard of my first great success. Here is the piece that remembers the sting of betrayal. Here is the one that glows with the memory of pure joy. Here is the fragment of my anger, sharp and hot to the touch. Here is the piece of my boundless curiosity. Do not try to fit them together yet. Do not try to polish them or hide them. Simply acknowledge their presence. Allow them all to belong. The good, the bad, the beautiful, the painful. They are all your stories. They are all part of your history. For too long, you have tried to build a self out of only the good pieces, while hiding the others in shadow. This act of gathering them all into the light is the first step. It is an act of radical self-acceptance. Now, I invite you to a practice. Sometime today or tomorrow, find a physical mirror and stand before it. Your first instinct will be to scan for flaws. The tired eyes, the line on your forehead, the shape of your body. It is an old, ingrained habit. I ask you to resist it. Instead, I ask you to look directly into your own eyes, hold your own gaze, and breathe. Do not say anything. Do not affirm or criticize. Simply witness the person looking back at you. See the human being there who has navigated joy and sorrow, who has loved, who has lost, who is trying their very best. Hold that gaze for 60 seconds. It may feel uncomfortable. It may feel strange. It may feel intensely emotional. That is the feeling of the fragmented self beginning to recognize the whole. It is the beginning of a truce in the inner war. You are looking beyond the cracks, and for a fleeting moment you are seeing the mirror. Finally, let us plant a seed in the fertile ground of your imagination. Before you sleep tonight, close your eyes. Picture a vast, circular mirror, as wide as the horizon. It is flawlessly polished, reflecting the pure light of the cosmos. This is your essential self, your soul. Feel its peace, its silence, its wholeness. Now, from a distance, watch as a stone comes and gently strikes its surface. A fine crack appears, then another, and another. These are the experiences of your life. Watch as the web of cracks forms, intricate and unique. But notice this, and notice it well. The mirror itself does not shrink, its circumference does not change. Its fundamental nature as a vast, reflective surface is completely unaltered. The cracks are merely patterns on its surface. They do not go through to the other side. They do not diminish its size or its essence. The wholeness is undisturbed. The light it reflects may now dance in new and interesting ways because of the patterns, but the mirror itself remains whole. You are that mirror. This is the first truth in understanding your own sacred geometry. Your wholeness is not a future destination to be earned. It is your present reality, waiting to be acknowledged. You are not a shattered thing. You are a magnificent mirror, whose history is traced in lines of experience, and now you are learning to trace them in gold. Having dared to look upon these fragments with new eyes, we must now ask, what is the source of the impacts? What is the noise that vibrates so fiercely that it can crack a mirror as strong as a soul? We must turn our attention from the inner reflection to the outer cacophony, the relentless noise of the world that seeks to drown out our true, harmonious nature. The mirror of the self, we now see, is not broken from within. Its fractures are the result of impacts, of vibrations from the outside world that are dissonant with its own nature. We must now turn our gaze towards the source of these impacts. We must face the relentless, deafening orchestra of the modern world. This is not the literal noise of traffic or construction, but a psychic noise, a cacophony of shoulds and musts and have-tos. It is the 24-hour broadcast of other people's opinions, the endless scroll of curated lives that whisper, "You are not enough." It is the screaming headline designed to provoke your fear, the advertisement engineered to create a hunger you never knew you had. It is the weight of your family's expectations, your culture's definitions of success, your society's unspoken rules. Each one is a sound, a vibration. Alone, they might be insignificant, but together, they create a storm of static so overwhelming that it becomes impossible to hear anything else. This external noise does not stay external for long. It seeps through the cracks in our attention, it bleeds into the quiet moments, and it sets up a home in our own minds. It becomes the inner critic. It becomes the voice of comparison. It becomes the anxious narrator of our future and the regretful editor of our past. We think we are thinking our own thoughts, but we are often just listening to reruns of the world's broadcast. We live in a state of perpetual psychic bombardment, and we have become so accustomed to it that we mistake the noise for the nature of reality itself. We believe that this inner chaos is simply the human condition. We forget that it is possible to experience a different state. We forget that silence exists. The constant vibration of this external pressure is the hammer that strikes the mirror. It is the force that creates the fractures and then convinces us that the fragmented reflection is the truth of who we are. It is a perfect system of spiritual enslavement, and we have, for the most part, willingly subscribed to it. Herein lies one of the great paradoxes of our inner conflict. We claim to crave peace. We dream of a quiet cabin in the woods, a silent retreat, a moment of reprieve from the noise. Yet what do we do when a moment of silence actually arrives? In the elevator, in the queue for coffee, in the moments before sleep, we instinctively reach for a device. We fill the space with a podcast, with music, with the endless chatter of the digital world. We fear the very thing we claim to desire. Why? Because the external noise, as exhausting as it is, serves a purpose. It is a powerful anesthetic. It distracts us from the potential for a deeper, more unsettling silence within. We are afraid that if we turn off the world's radio, we will be left alone with our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own emptiness. We fear that the inner world might be even more terrifying than the outer one. What if, when all the noise fades away, we discover there is nothing there? What if there is no beautiful song to be heard, only the sound of our own anxieties and regrets echoing in a hollow chamber? This fear of the inner void, the fear of confronting our unadorned self, is what keeps us chained to the external cacophony. We choose the familiar prison of the world's noise over the terrifying freedom of our own silence. I want to offer you a new foundation, a truth to hold on to as we navigate this fear. Your soul, in its purest form, has a sound. It has a tone that is uniquely yours. In the language of music, this is called the fundamental note. It is the base frequency from which all other harmonious overtones are generated. This note is the essence of your being. It is the sound of your own truth. It is unwavering, constant, and pure. It has been humming within you since the moment of your existence. It cannot be destroyed, it cannot be lost, it can only be obscured. You do not need to create this note. You do not need to learn how to sing it. Your only task, your most sacred work, is to create enough inner quiet to be able to hear it. The problem is not that your soul is silent. The problem is that you are trying to hear the delicate hum of a tuning fork while standing next to a roaring waterfall. Your entire spiritual journey can be distilled into this single endeavor. Stepping away from the waterfall. Imagine your consciousness as an old analog radio. You are trying to tune into a very specific station, the station of your own soul. It is broadcasting a clear, beautiful signal, a signal of peace, clarity, and purpose. But as you turn the dial, you are met with overwhelming static. That static is the cacophony of the world. It's the jingle from a commercial, the angry voice of a pundit, the fearful whisper of a colleague. Your mind, in its untrained state, latches onto the static. It analyzes the static, gets angry at the static, tries to find meaning in the static. But a wise radio operator knows that the static is not the signal. Their job is not to understand the noise, but to patiently, skillfully turn the dial, filtering out the unwanted frequencies until that one clear signal begins to emerge. This requires patience. It requires focus. It requires the belief that the clear signal is actually there, waiting to be found behind the noise. So, how do we begin to turn the dial? We begin with the practice of intentional silence. This is not about emptying the mind, which is an impossible task. It is about creating a container for the mind to be observed in. I ask you to gift yourself 5 minutes, just 5 minutes a day. Find a place where you will not be disturbed. Sit and do nothing. No phone, no book, no music, no mantra. Simply be. At first, this will feel like torture. The inner noise, freed from external competition, will seem to get louder. You will hear the endless to-do lists, the replayed conversations, the anxieties about tomorrow. Do not fight them. Do not engage them. Your only task is to notice them, as if you were a scientist observing a weather pattern. Ah, a thought of worry. There it is, and there it goes. You are not the thought. You are the silent, spacious awareness that is noticing the thought. By doing this, you begin to create a separation between yourself and the noise. You are no longer lost in the storm. You are the calm, unmoving sky through which the storm clouds pass. As you practice this, you become a curator of your own consciousness. You begin to notice what you are feeding your mind. You start to recognize that just as there is junk food for the body, there is junk food for the soul. The endless scrolling through outrage, the gossip, the mindless entertainment that leaves you feeling emptiness is the junk food. To curate your input is not about becoming a hermit. It is about making conscious choices. It is choosing to read a chapter of a book instead of scrolling a feed. It is choosing to go for a walk in nature instead of watching another hour of sensationalist news. It is choosing to have one deep conversation rather than 100 superficial interactions. Each conscious choice is an act of turning down the volume of the world's static. It is a declaration that you value the clarity of your own signal more than the distraction of the noise. When you commit to this practice, something miraculous begins to happen. In the tiny gaps between the noisy thoughts, you will start to feel something. It is not a voice that speaks in words. It is a feeling, a sense of rightness, a subtle pull, a quiet knowing. This is the first faint sound of your fundamental note. It is the signal breaking through the static. At first, it is shy and easily drowned out. But the more you create space for it, the more you honor the silence, the stronger and clearer it will become. It will begin to guide you. It will inform your choices not with complex logic, but with a simple feeling of resonance or dissonance. Things that are in harmony with your note will feel expansive, peaceful, and right. Things that are out of harmony will feel constricting, draining, and wrong. This becomes your new compass, your true north. You are not seeking to destroy the world's orchestra. You are simply learning to walk off the stage, into the wings, and finally, into your own quiet dressing room where you can hear yourself think, feel, and be. The truth is, your soul has been singing its song all along. It has never stopped. You have just been listening to every other station. The work now is to subtract, to simplify, to let go of the noise. For in the sacred space of inner silence, the architecture of your soul can finally be heard. Yet, we will find that even in the quietest room, there are echoes, ghosts of sounds from long ago. The loudest and most persistent static is often not the noise of today, but the vibrating gravity of our own past. To find true silence, we must now face these echoes and learn to let them fade. We have walked into the silent room, away from the world's cacophony. We have closed the door on the demands and opinions of others. And yet, the silence is not silent. It is filled with echoes. Ghosts of conversations, specters of old pain, the faint, persistent music of regret. We discover that the most powerful source of noise, the most relentless broadcast, is the one that plays from our own history. The past is not a passive archive of data. It is a living force. It possesses its own gravity, a powerful, invisible pull that reaches across time and warps the fabric of our present moment. Like a massive planet, it bends the path of our lives towards it, forcing us to orbit the same old stories, the same old wounds, the same old versions of ourselves. This gravity of the past is the single greatest drain on our life force. It is the reason we feel tired when we have slept, the reason we feel stuck when we are moving. Our energy, which is meant to animate and create our present reality, is being perpetually siphoned off to keep the ghosts of yesterday alive. The gravity of regret has us endlessly replaying a scene, wishing we had said something different, done something different, chosen a different path. We are performing a script for an audience that has long since left the theater. The gravity of a past trauma creates a field of fear around us, causing us to react to present situations not as they are, but as if they were a repetition of the original wound. We flinch from a gentle hand because we remember one that was not. We doubt a sincere compliment because we remember praise that was a prelude to manipulation. We are not living here, now. We are living in a shadowland, a perpetual reenactment, reacting to echoes and fighting battles that are already over. Here we face a profound and deeply human conflict. The soul cries out for liberation, for the freedom to experience this moment, fresh and unwritten. And yet the ego, the guardian of our identity, clings to the past with a desperate grip. Why? Because the past, no matter how painful, is known. It is a territory that has been fully mapped. We know its treacherous rivers and its barren landscapes. We have learned to survive there. The future, on the other hand, is a vast, uncharted wilderness, and the present moment is its terrifying, ever-advancing edge. The ego prefers the familiar pain of its cage to the frightening uncertainty of freedom. There is a perverse safety in the story of our wounds. It gives us an identity, a narrative. To let go of the past feels like letting go of who we are. If I am not the one who was wronged, if I am not the one who survived that hardship, if I am not the one who made that terrible mistake, then who am I? This fear of annihilation, of dissolving into an unknown self, is what keeps us shackled to the gravitational pull of our own history. The escape from this prison is not what you think. You cannot fight gravity with force. You cannot erase the past. You cannot build a time machine to fix it. The secret is not to fly away from the massive planet of your past, but to find a point within yourself where its gravity is nullified. This is the first, most crucial point in the sacred geometry of your soul, the point of stillness. The past and the future are mental constructs. They are phantoms projected by the mind. The only place that is real, the only place you have ever truly existed, is this exact moment, now. But the present moment is more than just a fleeting tick of the clock. It is a gateway. It is a portal to a dimension of being where time holds no power. At the very center of the present moment, there is a point of absolute stillness. It is the eye of the storm. The winds of anxiety about the future and the debris of regret from the past can howl and rage, but in the eye, there is a profound and unshakable calm. Your freedom is not found by stopping the storm. It is found by learning to locate its eye over and over again. Imagine a spinning top. When it spins slowly, it wobbles. It is unstable, easily knocked over by the slightest touch. It is susceptible to the forces around it. This is the state of a mind caught in the gravity of the past. It wobbles between regret and anxiety. But when the top spins with incredible speed and power, perfectly balanced on its single point, it achieves a state of dynamic stillness. It becomes incredibly stable, almost magical in its defiance of gravity. That single point of contact is the present moment. The act of focusing your awareness, your full conscious power, onto that single point is what allows you to achieve stability. By committing your energy to the now, you are not ignoring the past. You are spinning so perfectly in the present that the past's gravitational pull can no longer make you wobble and fall. You are no longer at its mercy. So, how do we practice this? How do we find this point of stillness amidst the inner chaos? We use the most simple and most profound tool we possess, the breath. Your breath has a magical property. It can only ever happen now. You cannot take a breath in the past. You cannot take a breath in the future. It is a perfect, unfailing anchor to the present moment. This is the practice. The moment you feel the gravitational pull, the moment you notice your mind being dragged back into an old story or a familiar regret, do not fight the thought. Fighting the thought gives it more energy. Instead, simply and gently, shift the entirety of your attention to the physical sensation of your breathing. Feel the coolness of the air as it enters your nostrils. Follow it as it fills your lungs. Notice the brief pause at the peak of the inhalation, then follow it out, feeling the warmth of the air as it leaves your body. Do this for one breath, then a second, then a third. This is not a distraction, it is a relocation of consciousness. You are deliberately unhooking your awareness from the phantom of the past and anchoring it to the living reality of the present. It is a circuit breaker. It is a radical act of homecoming. With this anchor, you can begin a deeper practice, dropping the storyline. We do not just remember our past, we endlessly rehearse it. We wrap our feelings in narratives, complete with heroes, villains, and dialogue. The practice is to separate the raw feeling from the story. When a wave of sadness washes over you, connected to a past event, notice the mind's immediate attempt to play the movie, to tell the story of why you are sad. Gently interrupt it. Say to yourself, I am dropping the storyline. And just allow the feeling of sadness to be what it is. A pure physical sensation in the body, a tightness in the chest, a heat behind the eyes. No story, no blame, just pure energy. You will find that without the story to feed it, the raw emotion passes through you much more quickly. You are allowing the old energy to finally complete its journey and dissipate, rather than keeping it trapped in the endless loop of a mental narrative. Finally, I invite you to a visualization. See yourself as the sun. You are a vast, radiant star, burning with the light of pure consciousness, fixed at the center of your own solar system. And orbiting you, at various distances, are the planets. There is the red, stormy planet of your anger. There is the cold, icy planet of your grief. There is the small, dense planet of a specific failure. There is the beautiful, ringed planet of a cherished memory. See them all. Acknowledge their existence. They are part of your system. But know this, with absolute certainty, you are not the planets. You are the sun. You are the source. Your nature is to be still, to be present, and to radiate light. The planets will continue their orbits according to their own laws. They will have their seasons, their storms. You do not need to fly to them to try and fix them. You do not need to apologize for their existence. Your work is to inhabit your own center, to be the sun. By doing so, you provide the light and warmth that allows the entire system to exist in harmony. You are the stillness that allows all movement to happen. By finding this point of stillness, by anchoring in the breath, you reclaim your power from the ghosts of yesterday. You are not erasing your history. You are liberating your present from it. You are stepping out of the shadow and into the light of your own being. The past becomes a library you can visit, not a prison you must live in. And from this place of profound stillness, this zero point of pure potential, something new becomes possible. We have quieted the outer world. We have anchored ourselves from the inner pull of the past. Now, for the first time, we are truly free to act. We are free to pick up a tool, and in the vast, silent canvas of the present moment, we can begin to draw the first intentional line. We have arrived at the point of stillness. We have stepped out of the world's noise and disengaged from the gravitational pull of the past. We stand now in the serene, potent emptiness of the present moment. This is the great void, the primordial canvas, the womb of all possibility. But for many of us, this is where the journey stalls. We achieve moments of peace, moments of quiet, but we remain passive within them. We become like a ship that has finally escaped a storm, only to find itself adrift in a calm but boundless ocean, with no land in sight and no rudder to guide it. The sails are slack, the crew is silent, and the vessel simply turns where the gentle, random currents take it. This is the experience of a life lived without intention. It is a state of quiet drifting, a passive existence where we are acted upon, rather than acting. To live without intention is to live a life of reaction. Your day is shaped not by your own choosing, but by the currents of external demands. The first email in your inbox sets the course for your morning. A piece of bad news on the radio sets the tone of your mood. An unexpected request from another person hijacks your afternoon. Your life becomes a series of responses, a patchwork of obligations stitched together with the thread of I should and I have to. The language of choice, the powerful declaration of I will, fades from your vocabulary. This leads to a deep and subtle form of despair. It is the feeling of being a secondary character in your own life story. You feel busy, but not productive. You feel tired, but not fulfilled. There is a quiet, gnawing sense of meaninglessness, a feeling that if you were to vanish tomorrow, the currents would simply continue to flow, undisturbed by your absence. You have not made a mark upon the canvas. You have simply allowed the canvas to be marked by others. The inner conflict here is one of paralysis, born from a profound fear. We long for a sense of purpose, for a clear direction that would give our lives weight and meaning. But we are terrified of choosing it. We have been conditioned to believe that we must find our one, true, ultimate life purpose, as if it were a hidden treasure we must uncover. The pressure of this idea is immense, and it freezes us. What if I choose the wrong path? What if I commit to a career, a relationship, or a way of life, and discover years later that it was a mistake? This fear of making an irreversible error keeps us in the harbor of indecision. We keep our options open. We dabble. We drift. We tell ourselves we are being flexible, but in reality, we are being fearful. In trying to be ready for anything, we commit to nothing. In keeping all paths available, we walk none of them. We sacrifice the power of a single, chosen direction for the illusion of infinite, unexplored possibilities, and the ship remains adrift. Let us dismantle this fear by redefining what an intention is. An intention is not a life sentence. It is not a rigid, unchangeable plan that you are shackled to forever. Think of the void of the present moment as a blank sheet of paper before an architect. What is the first thing the architect does? They draw a line, a single, straight line. That line is not yet a house. It is not yet a cathedral. But it is the first act of creation. It is a declaration of order in the face of emptiness. It brings focus out of diffusion. An intention is precisely this. It is the first line you draw on the canvas of your day, your week, your life. It is a vector. It is the conscious aiming of your energy. It is the act of saying to the infinite field of potential, of all the things I could be, of all the ways I could direct my energy, this is the direction I choose now. The universe, for all its mystery, responds to clarity. A vague wish for happiness is like a weak, diffused light bulb, its energy scattered in all directions, illuminating nothing. It has no power to create. A clear, focused intention, such as, my intention today is to cultivate peace within myself, is a laser beam. All of its energy is coherent, focused, and powerful. It can cut through the fog of indecision. It can illuminate the next right step. When you set an intention, you are not predicting the future. You are commanding your own resources. You are telling your mind what to look for. You are telling your heart what to value. You are becoming the archer who, before drawing back the string, first chooses a target. Without the target, the strength of the bow and the skill of the archer are meaningless. The intention is the choosing of the target. It is the act that gives power and purpose to all subsequent action. The practice of setting an intention is the practice of reclaiming your rudder. It is breathtakingly simple, and its effects are profound. Let go of the need to define your purpose for the next 50 years. Let us bring the scale down to the sacred and manageable container of a single day. When you wake up, before you reach for your phone, before the world's noise rushes in, lie still for just 1 minute. In that quiet space, ask yourself a simple question. What is my intention for this day? Not what is on my to-do list, but what quality of being do I want to embody today? The answer should be a simple single sentence, stated in the present tense. Today, my intention is clarity. Today, I move with confidence. Today, I choose to see the good in others. My intention is to remain anchored in peace, no matter what the day brings. Write this sentence down, speak it aloud, make it real. This is your rudder for the day. This is the first line on your blueprint. Now, as you move through your day, you have a compass. When you are faced with a choice, a difficult conversation, or a moment of stress, you can silently come back to your intention. If your intention is peace, you can ask, what would be the most peaceful response right now? If your intention is clarity, you can ask, what action would bring the most clarity here? It does not mean the day will be perfect. The winds and the currents of life will still buffet your ship. But now you have a rudder. You are no longer drifting. You are navigating. You are a conscious participant in the creation of your day. When you begin this practice, you will notice a subtle magic at work. When you set a clear intention, your perception begins to shift. Your mind, which is a masterful filtering system, starts to highlight things in your environment that are aligned with your intention. If your intention is to see beauty, you will suddenly notice the intricate pattern of a leaf, the kindness in a stranger's eyes, the play of light on a wall. These things were always there, but they were invisible to you because you were not looking for them. By setting an intention, you are priming your consciousness to perceive a reality that matches it. You are telling the universe what station you are tuned into, and the universe begins to broadcast that signal directly to you. Opportunities, insights, and synchronicities that seem to come out of nowhere are often simply the natural result of a clearly focused intention. You are the architect of your reality. For too long, you have stood before a blank canvas, paralyzed by the sheer infinity of what could be drawn. The act of drawing the first line, the line of intention, is the most courageous and powerful step you can take. It banishes the paralysis of the void. It is a declaration of your right to create. It is the voice that says, "I am here, and this is the direction I choose to move." It transforms you from a passive object tossed on the waves of circumstance into a conscious subject, a navigator, the captain of your own soul. A single line, however, is only a beginning. It gives us direction, but it lacks stability. It has length, but no depth. To create the first stable structure, the first true shape in the sacred geometry of our being, we must connect this line to others. We must take our newfound direction and build from it the most foundational and powerful form in all of creation, the triangle. We have drawn our line of intention, a courageous first stroke upon the void. It gives us direction, it gives us purpose, but a single line is vulnerable. It is a path without width, a wall without depth. It can be easily bent by circumstance, easily erased by doubt. A life built upon a single line, no matter how clear its direction, lacks resilience. It is a tightrope walk, not a foundation. To build a life that can withstand the storms of reality, to create a structure that will not collapse under pressure, we must move from the first dimension to the second. We must take our line of intention and connect it to other points, forming the first, most powerful, and most stable shape in all of sacred geometry, the triangle. This is the triangle of stability, and its three vertices are the three fundamental aspects of your human existence: your mind, your body, and your spirit. For too long, we have treated these as separate, often competing entities. We have lived our lives on a wobbly, one-legged stool, pouring all our energy into a single point while neglecting the others, and then wondering why we feel so perpetually off balance. We have become masters of imbalance. Consider the person who lives entirely in the mind. They are the scholar, the analyst, the chronic worrier. Their body is little more than a vehicle to transport their brain from one room to another. They fuel it with coffee and neglect, forgetting to eat, forgetting to sleep, until the body screams at them in the form of illness or exhaustion. Their spirit, starved for intuition, for joy, for simple presence, withers in the shadow of incessant thought. They have built a magnificent library, but they are too sick and anxious to enjoy it. Then consider the person who lives only for the body. They are the obsessive athlete, the one whose identity is wholly defined by their physical strength or appearance. They sculpt their form with punishing discipline, treating the body like a machine to be optimized. The mind becomes a simple calculator for calories and repetitions. The spirit, the part that yearns for meaning beyond the physical, is seen as an inconvenience, a distraction from the quantifiable goals of the flesh. But the body is impermanent. When injury, age, or illness inevitably arrives, their entire identity shatters, revealing a terrifying inner emptiness. They have built a beautiful temple, but they have forgotten to place a God inside it. And consider the person who attempts to live only in the spirit. They float on clouds of esoteric knowledge, chasing peak experiences, and speaking of higher vibrations, yet they neglect the vessel that grounds them to this earth. Their body grows weak, their finances are in chaos, and their mind avoids the practical, disciplined thought required to navigate the world. This is the great trap of spiritual bypassing, using spiritual concepts to avoid the messy, necessary work of being a functional human being. They have drawn a beautiful map of the heavens, but they have no ship to sail there and no food for the journey. Each of these is a life out of balance. Each is a structure built on a single point, destined to topple. The inner conflict that keeps us trapped in these states of imbalance is not ignorance, it is inertia. We know we should move more, we know we should eat better, we know we should quiet our minds. The conflict is between this passive knowledge and the active discomfort of change. We tell ourselves the great lie, I don't have time. We believe we are too busy putting out fires to spend time building a fireproof house. The reality is that the lack of a stable foundation is what causes the fires in the first place. We are too busy being exhausted to do the very things that would give us energy. Furthermore, we are addicted to our dominant vertex. The intellectual finds comfort in more analysis. The physical person finds solace in more training. The spiritual seeker looks for yet another retreat. It is easier to stay in the territory where we feel competent than to become a clumsy beginner in the realms we have neglected. The core message, the architectural secret to a resilient life, is this. The mind, body, and spirit are not separate entities to be optimized individually. They are the three interconnected legs of a single tripod. The stability of the entire structure depends on the strength and connection of all three. When you build your life upon this sacred triangle, you create a system that distributes stress. When your mind is under pressure, a difficult project at work, a complex problem to solve, a strong body and a centered spirit can hold it steady. A good night's sleep and a moment of meditative calm give the mind the resources it needs to function. When your body is weak through sickness or injuria, resilient mind and a hopeful spirit can carry you through, preventing physical pain from becoming emotional despair. When your spirit is tested through loss or a crisis of faith, a healthy body and a clear mind provide the grounding and clarity to navigate the darkness. You are no longer a one-legged stool, waiting to be knocked over. You are a pyramid, a structure whose stability has been revered for millennia. Think of the tripod that holds a camera. With one leg, a monopod, it is shaky and requires constant effort to keep steady. With two legs, it is an impossible, unstable configuration. But with three legs, planted firmly, the camera becomes unshakably stable. It can face the wind, it can endure a jostle, it can hold its focus. Your awareness is this camera. Your life's work is to capture a clear and beautiful picture of reality. You cannot do this if your foundation is constantly wobbling. The three legs of your tripod, mind, body, spirit, must all be strong, and they must all be planted firmly on the ground of your daily life. The goal is not to make them all identical in length and strength, but to honor all three, to ensure none are forgotten. The practice for building this triangle is not about grand, sweeping changes. It is about the profound power of small, consistent, daily actions. It is about making the commitment so easy that it is harder to say no than to say yes. This is the practice of the Sacred Trinity. Every single day, you will make one small offering to each vertex of your being. First, for the mind. Feed it one piece of genuine nourishment. This is not the junk food of mindless scrolling. Read one page of a book that challenges you. Listen to a 5-minute podcast that teaches you something. Learn the definition of a new word. Engage your intellect with intention for just a few moments. You are honoring the vertex of thought and clarity. Second, for the body. Move it with gratitude. This is not about punishing it at the gym. It is about inhabiting it with joy. Go for a 10-minute walk without your phone and simply feel the sensation of your feet on the earth. Do 5 minutes of gentle stretching when you wake up, feeling the life in your limbs. choose the stairs. Put on a song and dance in your living room for 3 minutes. You are honoring the sacred vessel that carries you through life. Third, for the spirit, connect with the stillness. This is not about achieving enlightenment. It is about remembering your center. Sit in silence for 3 minutes and focus on your breath. Write down one single thing you are genuinely grateful for. Step outside at night and look at the stars, feeling your own smallness and connection to the vastness. You are honoring the dimensionless part of you that is connected to everything. 1 page, 10 minutes, 3 breaths. These are not burdensome tasks, but performed daily, consistently. They are the actions that draw and redraw the lines of your sacred triangle. Each action is a prayer, an affirmation. You are telling the universe and yourself that you are a being of 3 parts, and you honor them all. This is the architecture of self-respect. This is how you build a foundation that will not fail you. We are no longer a single vulnerable line. We have created a shape, a stable platform of being. Our intention now has a solid base from which to operate. And now that this structure exists, we must ask, what does it contain? What is it designed to protect? Within this triangle lies our most precious resource, our life force, our energy. The next step in our geometric journey is to learn how to preserve it. We must cast a circle around our newly built pyramid, the circle of our own awareness, to ensure that the sacred energy we cultivate within is not lost to the world. We have laid our foundation. Upon the bedrock of the present moment, we have erected the sacred triangle of mind, body, and spirit, creating the first stable structure of the self. This structure is no longer a vulnerable one-dimensional line, but a resilient, balanced platform. Now we must ask a vital question. What is this structure for? What is it designed to hold? The answer is your life force, your energy, the vital, invisible current that animates your being, fuels your creativity, and determines the quality of your existence. This energy, cultivated through the balance of a healthy mind, a vibrant body, and a centered spirit, is your most precious and finite resource. And yet, for most of us, this precious resource is leaking away every single day. Imagine your being is a vessel, carefully crafted and designed to hold water. But the vessel is riddled with tiny, invisible cracks. All day long you are trying to fill it, engaging in activities you hope will bring you joy or fulfillment, but you are simultaneously losing what you gain. At the end of the day, you feel inexplicably drained, hollowed out, and irritable. You wonder where all your energy has gone. It has gone out through the cracks. These leaks are the moments you give your focused attention, your life force to people, situations, and thoughts that do not nourish you. It is the half hour spent arguing with a stranger in the comments section of a news article. It is the hour spent listening to a friend who only ever complains, who uses you as an emotional dumping ground without any exchange of support. It is the endless mental loop of worrying about a future you cannot control, or ruminating on a past mistake you cannot change. Each of these is a leak, and 1,000 tiny leaks will drain a vessel as surely as one large hole. This constant, low-grade hemorrhaging of our vital energy is the source of the deep weariness that plagues our world. It is why we have nothing left for our passions, our loved ones, or ourselves at the end of the day. The conflict that allows this to happen is a deep-seated fear, a conditioned belief that protecting our own energy is an act of selfishness. We have been taught that being a good person means being endlessly available, always saying yes, and putting the needs of others before our own. We fear that setting a boundary will lead to conflict or disapproval. We are afraid of being seen as difficult, unkind, or uncaring. For the sensitive and empathetic among us, this conflict is even more acute. We feel the pain of others so deeply that we believe it is our duty to absorb it, to take it into our own system. We become a sponge for the world's anxiety and sorrow, believing this is compassion. But a sponge soaked in dirty water can cleanse nothing. We become so waterlogged with the negativity of others that we lose our own shape, our own buoyancy, and we are no longer able to help anyone, least of all ourselves. The core message, the next essential shape in our sacred geometry, is the circle. This is the circle of awareness, and it is the container for your energy. It is not a wall of bricks built to isolate you from the world. It is a living, intelligent, semi-permeable membrane, like the membrane of a biological cell. It is a sphere of conscious energy that you cast around your being, and you are the gatekeeper. You, through your focused awareness, decide what is allowed to enter your sacred space and what must remain outside. This is not selfishness. It is the highest form of self-respect, and it is the prerequisite for any genuine service to the world. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you do not have. To consciously contain and cultivate your own energy is to ensure you have an abundance of light to share, rather than an abundance of exhaustion. A lighthouse does not serve by running into the storm. It serves by standing firm, tending to its own light, and shining brilliantly from its protected center. Imagine your inner world as a secret garden. For years, you have left the gate wide open. Anyone could wander in, trample your delicate flowers, drop their litter, and exhaust the soil. You felt you had to be welcoming. But now, you understand the art of gardening. You realize that to cultivate anything beautiful, the garden needs protection. The circle of awareness is the wall you build around your garden, not to keep life out, but to protect the life within. It keeps out the trampling feet of others' demands and the harsh winds of negativity. You are the gardener. You stand at the gate. You can choose to open it for those who come with sunlight and nourishment, and you can choose to keep it closed to those who would bring only blight and shadow. The garden is your peace of mind, your creativity, your well-being. Protecting it is your most sacred responsibility. The most powerful way to begin this practice is through visualization. It is the act of casting your circle with the power of your mind. I invite you to try this now, or to make it a daily practice. Sit comfortably, close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths, settling into the tripod of your mind, body, and spirit. Now, bring your attention to your heart center. Imagine a tiny, brilliant spark of golden light there. With your next inhalation, see and feel this spark grow brighter and warmer. With the exhale, allow it to expand, filling your entire chest. Continue this with each breath. Inhale, the light intensifies. Exhale, the light expands. See it expand beyond your physical body, forming a beautiful, shimmering sphere of light all around you. See it extending an arm's length in every direction above your head, below your feet, in front, behind, and to both sides. You are now seated in the center of a luminous globe of your own creation. This is your circle of awareness. Know with deep conviction that this is your sacred space. Set the intention that only energies that are for your highest good may enter this circle. Anything else, another's anger, the world's fear, your own self-criticism simply cannot penetrate this field. It meets the surface of your golden sphere and harmlessly dissolves. Sit within this circle for a few moments, feeling the safety, the peace, the integrity of your own contained energy. Practice this every morning like a spiritual shower, cleansing your field and setting your energetic boundaries for the day. The second practical step is to conduct an energy audit. To plug the leaks, you must first know where they are. For one day, carry a small notebook or use an app on your phone. At several points during the day, pause and ask yourself two questions. First, in the last few hours, what person, situation, or thought has given me energy? Second, what person, situation, or thought has drained my energy? Be brutally honest. At the end of the day, review your list. The patterns will be immediate and obvious. You will see clearly the sources of nourishment and the sources of depletion in your life. This is not about blaming others. It is about taking radical responsibility for where you invest your attention. Awareness is the first step to change. Armed with this awareness, you can now practice the gentle no. Your no to something that drains you is a powerful yes to your own well-being. It is not an act of aggression, it is an act of energetic hygiene. You do not need to be harsh or apologetic. A simple, "I appreciate the offer, but I'm not able to do that right now," is complete. A kind, "Thank you for sharing, but I don't have the emotional capacity to discuss this at the moment," is a boundary, not a rejection. You are not responsible for another person's reaction to your boundaries. You are only responsible for setting them with clarity and compassion. Every time you say a gentle no to a leak, you are patching the hole in your vessel. You are honoring the sanctity of your own garden. By creating the stable triangle and then containing our energy within the sacred circle, we have established a consecrated space for our own evolution. We have built a greenhouse. We are no longer at the mercy of every passing storm or every hungry pest. Within this protected space, growth can now occur in a new way. Life, you will find, is not a straight line, nor is it a series of disconnected events. It moves in cycles. We return to similar challenges, similar feelings, similar lessons. But once we are operating from within our contained, stable self, we can begin to see that these are not the meaningless circles of a hamster wheel. We are not doomed to repeat the past. We are, in fact, traveling upon a different geometric form entirely. We are ascending the beautiful, elegant, and ever-deepening path of the sacred spiral. We are now standing within a sacred, protected space. We have built our foundation, the triangle of mind, body, and spirit, and we have cast the circle of awareness around it, containing our vital energy. From within this consecrated greenhouse, we can begin to observe the true nature of our growth. And one of the first and most challenging observations we will make is that life seems to repeat itself. An old anxiety, long since vanquished, suddenly reappears. A pattern in relationships we thought we had outgrown emerges with a new person. A self-destructive habit we worked so hard to overcome tempts us once more. And in these moments, a familiar, sinking feeling arises. Here I am again. I haven't changed at all. All that work was for nothing. This is perhaps the greatest test of faith on the inner journey. It is the feeling of being trapped on a hamster wheel, running furiously but ending up in the exact same spot. The mind, which loves linear progress and clear victories, interprets this as failure. It becomes a harsh critic, telling us, "You should know better by now. Why haven't you learned your lesson?" This sense of being stuck in a loop, of being Sisyphus pushing his boulder up the hill only to have it roll back to the bottom, is profoundly disheartening. It is the point where many of us abandon the path, convinced that real change is impossible for us. We see ourselves as fundamentally flawed, doomed to repeat the same mistakes for the rest of our lives. The inner conflict here is between the timeline of the ego and the rhythm of the soul. The ego wants a report card with straight A's. It wants to tick boxes. Healed my fear of abandonment. Check. Mastered my anger. Check. Achieved permanent state of bliss. Check. It sees life as a series of problems to be solved and eliminated. But the soul does not operate on a linear checklist. The soul understands that the core themes of our lives are relationship with love, with power, with fear, with loss are not problems to be solved. They are vast, rich landscapes to be explored. The soul's purpose is not to conquer these territories and move on, but to know them, and ourselves within them, at ever-deepening levels. The ego's impatience for graduation clashes with the soul's curriculum of refinement, creating a state of profound frustration. Now, I ask you to replace the image of the hamster wheel with a new geometric form, one that holds the secret to resolving this paradox. Replace the flat circle with the three-dimensional, ever-ascending form of the sacred spiral. A circle is a trap. It is a two-dimensional loop that always returns to its exact starting point. But a spiral is a circle that has discovered the third dimension. It is a circle in motion, a circle that is climbing. When you complete a circuit on a spiral, you do not arrive back where you started. You arrive directly above the point where you began. The view looks familiar, which is why your ego screams, "We're back here again." But your vantage point has changed. You are higher. You have more perspective. You can see further. This is not repetition. This is refinement. You are not being punished with the same lesson over and over. You are being invited to engage with a core life theme from a new, higher level of consciousness. The first time you encountered the lesson of letting go, for example, you may have been at the base of a great spiral staircase. It was dark, confusing, and you stumbled. Now, years later, you find yourself at a window looking out at the same landscape of letting go, and you mistake it for the same place. But you are now 3 floors higher. You have more light. You have the wisdom from the floors you've already climbed. You might still feel the ache of the lesson, but you navigate it with a grace and an awareness that were unavailable to you before. You are not going backwards. You are spiraling upwards. This sacred spiral is the signature of life itself. We see it in the elegant whirl of a nautilus shell. The nautilus never abandons its old chambers. It simply builds a new, larger chamber and carries its entire history with it as it grows. We see it in the double helix of our DNA, the blueprint of our physical form. We see it in the arms of the galaxies, spiraling out from a creative center. We see it in the way a vine reaches for the sun, and in the patterns of water draining from a basin. To align yourself with the spiral is to align yourself with the fundamental pattern of growth in the cosmos. It is to release the ego's demand for a straight line and to embrace the soul's love for the dance of deepening. The most powerful tool for recognizing your own ascent on the spiral is the practice of journaling, but not just as a diary of daily events. I invite you to keep a journal of your inner life, a logbook of your journey up the staircase. The next time you feel that sinking feeling of, "Here I am again," I want you to perform a sacred ritual. Find your old journals. Go back 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. Find the last time you wrote about this specific feeling or this specific challenge, and read what you wrote. Read it not with judgment, but with the compassionate curiosity of an archaeologist discovering a past self. And as you read, look for the delta. Look for the difference, no matter how small. Perhaps the last time this feeling came, it consumed you for a month. This time, it only had power over you for a day. That is progress. Perhaps the last time you reacted with blame and anger. This time, your first reaction was a gentle curiosity. That is a monumental shift. Perhaps the last time you felt completely alone, a victim of circumstance. This time, you recognized the pattern and remembered that you had the tools to navigate it. That is the difference between being lost in the storm and being the lighthouse that observes it. Your task is to find the evidence of your own growth and to celebrate it. Acknowledge the delta. Say it out loud. Wow, look at how much my perspective has changed. Look at how much stronger I am now. This act of conscious acknowledgement is crucial. It is how you prove to your skeptical ego that the journey is working, that the spiral is indeed ascending. It provides the fuel of encouragement you need to face the next flight of stairs. You are not the same person who stood at the bottom. You have more wisdom, more compassion, and more resilience than you give yourself credit for. Your old journals are the proof. So, let us release the tyranny of the straight line. Life is not a race to a finish line. It is a dance. It is the slow, deliberate, and beautiful unfolding of a spiral. Each return is a homecoming to a familiar theme, but you return as a different person, ready to see it with new eyes, to learn from it on a deeper level. You are not stuck. You are not failing. You are deepening. You are participating in the same cosmic dance that unfolds the petals of a rose and unfurls the arms of a galaxy. You are growth itself in its most elegant and sacred form. Now that we have embraced the spiral nature of our inner growth, we must see how this inner movement connects with the world outside. Our evolution is not a solitary process confined within our circle of awareness. It is powered by a dynamic exchange, a sacred intersection between our inner reality and the outer world. The point where the ascending spiral of our soul touches the plane of everyday life is a place of profound magic and creation. It is here that we discover the next shape in our journey, the almond-shaped gateway formed by two interlocking circles, the vesica piscis. We are ascending the sacred spiral. With each turn, we revisit the core themes of our lives from a higher vantage point, gaining wisdom and perspective. This inner evolution is profound and essential, but if it remains solely an internal process, it is incomplete. A seed, no matter how perfect its genetic code, serves no purpose if it remains in the darkness of the packet. Its destiny is to be planted, to break through the soil, to bring its inner blueprint into the outer world of light and form. The spiral of your soul yearns not just to grow, but to express itself. This brings us to the meeting point of two worlds, and to the next powerful shape in our geometric journey. Imagine your existence as two great, interlocking circles. The first circle is your inner world. This is the realm of your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams, your values. It is the home of your silent meditations, your secret hopes, your authentic self. It is the landscape of the ascending spiral we have just explored. The second circle is your outer world. This is the realm of your actions, your job, your relationships, your responsibilities. It is the world of deadlines, bills, and social interactions. It is the tangible, physical reality you navigate every day. For many of us, these two circles barely touch. We live a life of profound separation. Our rich inner world of creativity, sensitivity, and longing remains hidden, while our outer world becomes a performance, a series of compromises, a role we play to survive. This is the state of the Great Divide. Inside, you are a poet, an adventurer, a mystic. Outside, you are an accountant, a commuter, a polite party guest. Inside, your core value is compassion. Outside, your job requires you to be ruthless. Inside, you feel a deep need for solitude and quiet. Outside, your life is a whirlwind of noise and social demands. This dissonance, this gap between the person you are and the life you are living, is the source of our deepest exhaustion. It is the weariness that comes from constantly wearing a mask that grows heavier with each passing year. It is the quiet agony of feeling like a fraud in your own life, of knowing that the people around you do not see the real you. This separation is a betrayal of the soul, and its price is your vitality and your joy. The conflict that perpetuates this divide is the war between our yearning for authenticity and our fear of the consequences. There is a primal, soul-deep desire to be whole, to have our inner and outer worlds be a seamless expression of one another. We long to take off the mask and say, "This is who I am." But our fear is a powerful gatekeeper. We fear judgment. What will they think of me if I show my true, sensitive self? We fear rejection. If I express my unconventional ideas, I will be cast out. We fear practical failure. I cannot make a living as an artist. I must stick to this safe but soul-crushing job. We fear instability. I cannot change my life now. I have too many responsibilities. And so, we choose the slow, steady pain of inauthenticity over the perceived catastrophic risk of living our truth. We convince ourselves that this divided life is the only rational, responsible way to exist. The path to healing this divide, to reclaiming your wholeness, is not to demolish one circle in favor of the other. It is to consciously, deliberately begin to bring the two circles together so that they overlap. And in the space where these two circles intersect, a new, sacred shape is formed. It is the shape of an almond, an eye, or a fish. In sacred geometry, this is the vesica piscis. This shape has been revered for millennia as a symbol of creation, a portal between worlds. It is the womb from which all manifest reality is born. It is the gateway through which spirit passes into matter. For us, on this journey, the vesica piscis is the most important place in our universe. It is the sacred space where your inner world and your outer world merge. It is where a thought becomes an action, It is where a value becomes a choice. It is where a dream begins to take physical form. Your purpose is not to live solely inside your head or solely in the material world. Your purpose is to live in the Vesica Piscis, the holy intersection of both. This is the space of embodied integrity. Integrity is not just about honesty. Its root meaning is to be whole, to be undivided. To live a life of integrity is to live in the Vesica Piscis, where what you believe on the inside is what you do on the outside. This is where your true power lies. An inner value, like kindness, remains a beautiful but impotent abstraction until it is expressed through an outer action, a gentle word, a helping hand. A dream of writing a book is just a fantasy until you sit down in the outer world and type the first sentence. The Vesica Piscis is the bridge from being to doing. It is where the blueprint of the seed meets the soil of reality and life erupts. We are not meant to be spiritual beings having a human experience, or human beings having a spiritual experience. We are meant to be the unified field where both are one. The practice, then, is to consciously enlarge the space of your Vesica Piscis day by day. This is not about making a sudden, dramatic leap. It is about weaving the two worlds together with small, intentional threads. The practice is called embodied values. First, identify a core inner value. Look into the circle of your inner world and choose one quality that is deeply important to you. Let us say you choose creativity. Second, devise one small, tangible, outer action that expresses this value. The action must be something you can do today. It is not quit my job to become a painter. It is I will take 15 minutes during my lunch break to sketch in a notebook with no goal other than to enjoy the act of creating. If your inner value is connection, your outer action is not find my soulmate, but I will call a friend I haven't spoken to in a while just to see how they are. If your inner value is peace, your outer action could be I will not engage in any arguments, online or in person, for the next 24 hours. Each time you perform one of these small, bridging actions, you are strengthening the Vesica Piscis. You are proving to yourself and to the universe that your inner world is real and that it has a place in your outer reality. A powerful way to track this is through a journaling practice. Draw two large overlapping circles on a page. In the left circle, write about your inner world, your feelings, your values, your insights for the day. In the right circle, write about your outer world, your tasks, your interactions, your responsibilities. Then, in the central almond-shaped space, you will write down the specific moments where you successfully brought the two together. Your goal is to make that central space thicker and more vibrant each day. Living in the Vesica Piscis is the art of making your life a work of art. Your outer life becomes a canvas for your inner spirit. Your job, your relationships, your home, they all become opportunities to express the beauty and truth you have cultivated within. You cease to be a performer playing a role. You become an artist, embodying your vision. The mask dissolves, not because it was torn off in a painful act of rebellion, but because it has become redundant. Your face and the mask have become one. This is the end of the Great Divide. This is the beginning of a life of wholeness. As we learn to stand and live within this sacred intersection, we notice that both our inner and outer worlds are governed by powerful natural rhythms. There are times for action and times for rest, times for expansion and times for contraction. To live harmoniously in this creative space, we cannot maintain a constant, frantic pace of output. We must learn to align ourselves with the universal pulse of creation. We must learn the wisdom of the ebb and the flow. We must learn the rhythm of the tides. We are learning to live in the Vesica Piscis, that sacred creative space where our inner world meets our outer reality. We are bringing our truth into the world, action by action. But as we engage in this dance of creation, we encounter a formidable obstacle: the modern world's relentless demand for perpetual motion. Our culture worships at the altar of the high tide. It celebrates endless productivity, constant growth, and unwavering positivity. It tells us that to be valuable, we must always be creating, always be achieving, always be on. The low tide, the natural, necessary phase of rest, reflection, and withdrawal is treated as a problem to be solved. It is labeled as laziness, depression, or a lack of motivation. And so, we learn to fear and resist the natural ebb of our own energy. This cult of the eternal high tide is a recipe for spiritual and psychological burnout. It is like demanding that a farmer plant and harvest in an endless summer, ignoring the vital necessity of autumn's release and winter's deep rest. The soil of our soul, denied its fallow periods, becomes depleted, barren, and incapable of producing anything of genuine beauty or worth. We internalize this pressure, and it becomes a brutal inner critic. When we feel our energy naturally recede, when inspiration wanes, when we feel quiet or sad, a voice inside screams at us to push through. Keep going, it says. No excuses. We feel a profound guilt for needing to rest, as if it were a moral failing. We try to whip our weary spirit into action, forcing ourselves to create, to perform, to engage. The result is a life of strain, a feeling of swimming against a powerful current, and a creative work that feels hollow and forced. This inner conflict, this war between the soul's need for rhythm and the ego's demand for constant output, is where our energy is wasted and our joy is lost. Your soul communicates its needs with perfect clarity. It sends you the signal of fatigue when you need to rest. It sends you the signal of brain fog when your mind needs a break. It sends you a feeling of melancholy when there is something deep within that needs to be felt and integrated. Your inner drill sergeant, terrified of falling behind or being seen as unproductive, dismisses these signals as weakness. It tells you to have another cup of coffee and get back to work. This is an act of profound self-violence. It is the attempt to live a life of constant inhalation without ever allowing for the release of the exhale, and a being that only inhales will quickly perish. The core message, the paradigm shift that can restore your sanity and your vitality is this. The low tide is as sacred as the high tide. The ebb is as necessary as the flow. Winter is as holy as summer. The exhale is as life-giving as the inhale. They are not opposing forces of good and evil. They are two inseparable parts of a single, healthy, intelligent rhythm. To honor one and despise the other is to misunderstand the very nature of life. Wisdom does not lie in learning how to create a permanent high tide. It lies in learning to discern which tide you are in and aligning your actions with its inherent energy. The high tide is the time of outward expression. Your energy is expansive. It is the time to act on your intentions, to build, to create, to connect with others, to bring the projects that live in your inner world out into the physical realm. This is the energy of summer, of the full moon, of the powerful inhale. When this wave of energy comes, you must learn to ride it with joy and focus, pouring yourself into the world. But the low tide is a time of sacred withdrawal. Your energy naturally turns inward. It is the time for rest, for integration, for quiet contemplation. When the bustling waters of your mind and life recede, you can finally see what treasures have been left on the shore. You find the beautiful, forgotten shells of old memories. You discover the smooth, worn driftwood of hard-won wisdom. You see the unresolved feelings that were hidden beneath the churning waves of your busyness. The low tide is not a time for casting your nets out into the world. It is the time for repairing your nets. It is the time to absorb the lessons of the last high tide, to integrate your experiences, and to allow your inner soil to be replenished. To resist the low tide is to refuse the deep wisdom and necessary restoration that it offers. Nature is our greatest teacher in this. A tree does not try to fruit in winter. It draws its energy deep into its roots, trusting in the cycle that will bring the blossoms of spring. The moon does not try to be forever full. It graciously wanes into darkness, knowing this phase is what allows its light to be reborn. You are a part of this nature. You are not a machine. You are a cyclical, rhythmic, living organism. To fight your own nature is a battle you can never win. The only path to peace and sustainable creation is surrender to your own rhythm. The first step in this surrender is to become a tidal observer. For 1 week, let go of judging your energy states and simply notice them. Keep a simple log. Several times a day, just note how you feel. Energy high, mind clear. Feeling low, want to be alone. Creative and focused. Tired and foggy. Do not try to change anything. Simply bear witness to your own natural patterns as a scientist would observe the phases of the moon. You will begin to see that your energy has a rhythm. Perhaps you are most creative in the mornings, or you always feel a dip in the afternoon. This is your personal tidal chart. The second step is to begin honoring the ebb. When you feel your energy receding, instead of fighting it with caffeine and willpower, try a radical experiment. Listen to it. If you can, give yourself 15 minutes of what your soul is asking for. If it's asking for rest, lie down and close your eyes. If it's asking for quiet, put on noise-canceling headphones and just breathe. If it's asking for gentle movement, go for a short, slow walk. Reframe this not as wasting time, but as a strategic investment in my well-being. It is sharpening the axe before you chop the wood. By giving your being the restoration it needs during the low tide, you ensure that the next high tide will be powerful, clear, and productive. Once you know your rhythms, you can begin to design your life in alignment with them. This is the art of spiritual and energetic efficiency. Schedule your most demanding, creative, and important tasks for your natural high tide periods. Protect these times fiercely. Use your low tide periods for more mundane tasks, answering emails, tidying your space, planning or, most importantly, for scheduled, unapologetic rest. You are no longer forcing your ship to sail against the current. You are harnessing the power of the tides to carry you where you want to go. This brings a sense of ease, flow, and grace to your life. The struggle ceases. By embracing this natural pulse, you harmonize your personal Vesica Piscis with the rhythm of the cosmos itself. You learn that your creative power is not a brute force to be wielded, but a natural energy to be intelligently stewarded. In the quiet, clear moments of the low tide, when the waters of your life have receded, you are given a unique and precious gift. The seabed of your soul is exposed. You can see the underlying structures, the bedrock of your being, with unparalleled clarity. It is in this peaceful, empty space that we have the perfect opportunity to examine what is truly solid, what values remain when all the noise and water have flowed away. It is the time to build and reinforce the very foundation of our character. It is time to crystallize our core values. In the sacred quiet of the low tide, the waters of your life have pulled back, and the seabed of your soul is revealed. Here, in this space of clarity, we can see what lies beneath the surface. For many of us, the ground upon which we have built our lives is not solid bedrock, but a soft, shifting mixture of sand and silt. This ground is composed of borrowed values, like stones worn smooth by a river. These values have been passed down to us by our family, our culture, our education, and our society. They are not inherently bad, they are simply not our own. We are told that security is paramount, that success is measured in wealth, that achievement is the highest good, that happiness is a destination to be reached. And so, we build our lives upon this borrowed ground, choosing careers, partners, and lifestyles that align with these external scripts. To live a life of borrowed values is to be an actor who has forgotten they are on a stage. You play the part so well, for so long, that you begin to believe it is you. But the soul always knows. It knows when it is being asked to live in a house that was not designed for it. This knowing becomes a low-grade, pervasive feeling of inauthenticity, a quiet sense of, is this all there is? It is the ache of a life that looks right on the outside but feels hollow on the inside. It is the deep, unspoken crisis of a being that has honored every value system except for the one encoded in its own spiritual DNA. The ground feels unstable because it is not your ground. It cannot truly support the weight of your unique destiny. The inner conflict that keeps us standing on this borrowed ground is the timeless battle between the safety of the known path and the terror of the uncharted wilderness. The path laid out by society is well lit and well worn. It has clear signposts, predictable rewards, and the comforting approval of our fellow travelers. To follow it is to feel a sense of belonging and safety. To step off this path, to pause in the middle of the crowd and ask the terrifyingly simple question, "But what do I truly value?" is an act of profound rebellion. It is to declare that the map you have been given is no longer sufficient. It is to enter a wilderness with no guide but an inner compass you have not yet learned to trust. The fear of getting lost, of being judged, of failing on your own terms, can be so immense that it seems wiser to continue marching on the familiar road, even if it is leading you nowhere your soul wants to go. The core message, the great work of this low-tide period, is to excavate down to your own personal bedrock. It is the process of consciously crystallizing your own core values. Your values are not just vague preferences or nice ideas. They are the fundamental, crystalline geometry of your soul. Imagine that your life's experiences, all the pressures and all the heat you have endured, are not random events. They are the cosmic forces required to transform the raw carbon of your being into a unique, unshakable, and brilliant diamond. This inner diamond is your set of core values. They are what give your being structure, integrity, and clarity. Once you have uncovered this crystalline structure within, you possess the ultimate navigational tool. Life's decisions cease to be a bewildering array of pros and cons. They simplify into one elegant question: is this in alignment with my core values? If the answer is yes, you move forward with confidence. If the answer is no, you walk away with peace. This is the source of true personal power, the ability to act from a place of deep, unwavering inner conviction. When you live from your core values, you become like a gyroscope, spinning with such internal integrity that you are no longer easily knocked off balance by external forces. Other people's opinions, societal pressures, and fleeting trends can no longer sway you because you are anchored to the bedrock of your own being. These values are your North Star. In the darkest nights of confusion and doubt, when you have lost your way, you can look to them, and they will always show you where true north lies. They are your non-negotiables, the foundational pillars upon which you will build the temple of your life. This process of crystallization is a practical and profound exercise. I invite you now to become a geologist of your own soul. Take a piece of paper and a pen. Step 1 is the brainstorm. We must first gather the raw material, the carbon. Without overthinking or judging, write down a list of at least 15 words that represent concepts that feel important to you. To help you begin, consider words like freedom, security, adventure, peace, integrity, honesty, compassion, growth, creativity, connection, stability, influence, knowledge, joy, service, authenticity, loyalty, strength, wisdom, health, family. Let the list be long and messy. Step 2 is the first distillation. Now, look at your list. The next step is to apply pressure. You must narrow this list down to the 10 most essential values. This will be difficult. You will have to make choices. You might have to weigh security against adventure. This is where the work begins. There is no right answer, only your answer. Circle the 10 that resonate most deeply, the 10 you feel you could not live without. Step 3 is the final crystallization. This is where the diamond is formed. From your list of 10, you must now choose your top 5. This is the most challenging and most rewarding step. These 5 are your bedrock. They are the essential facets of your inner diamond. You may have to sit with this for some time. Read the 10 words aloud. Feel them in your body. Which ones create a feeling of expansion, of rightness, of home? These 5 values are the constitution of your personal sovereign nation. They will be your guides, your counselors, and your protectors. Once you have your 5, write them down on a fresh piece of paper. Look at them. This is your bedrock. This is the crystalline structure of your soul, made visible. For example, your list might be integrity, creativity, freedom, connection, and growth. This becomes your inner counsel. From this day forward, before making any significant decision, you can consult this counsel. Does this job offer align with my values of creativity and freedom? Does this relationship honor my values of connection and integrity? Does this choice support my value of growth? The answers become clear and simple. The confusion lifts. Knowing your core values is the difference between living life by accident and living life by design. It is the foundation upon which an authentic existence is built. You are no longer drifting on a sea of borrowed beliefs, but navigating with a precise and powerful internal guidance system. These 5 crystallized values are the primary geometric principles of your being. They are the solid, unshakable points from which you can now begin to construct a life of beauty and harmony. Now that we have this solid, crystalline foundation, the next question in our architectural journey arises. How do we build with these principles? How do we arrange them in our lives? How do we balance a deep value for peace with an equally deep value for growth? How do we honor our need for connection without sacrificing our need for freedom? To answer this, we must look to a universal law of harmony, a divine proportion found in nature, art, and the cosmos itself. We must explore the elegant and life-affirming principle of the golden ratio. We stand now on solid ground. The low tide has revealed the bedrock of our being, and from it, we have consciously crystallized our 5 core values. These are the pillars of our inner temple, the facets of our personal diamond. They give us structure, integrity, and an unwavering sense of direction. But having these pillars is one thing, building a life with them is another. The next great task of the inner architect is one of proportion and relationship. How do we construct a life that is not just strong, but also beautiful? How do we balance our deep need for connection with our equally deep need for freedom? How do we honor our value of growth without sacrificing our value of peace? This is a question of harmony, and to answer it, we must look to a divine principle woven into the very fabric of creation, the golden ratio. First, we must acknowledge the jarring dissonance of our unbalanced lives. We live in a world of disharmonious proportions, a world of extremes. The ratio of our time spent at work versus our time spent in quiet play might be 10 to 1. The ratio of our hours spent staring at a digital screen versus our hours spent in nature might be 50 to 1. The proportion of our mental energy dedicated to worrying about the future versus the energy dedicated to savoring the present might be 100 to 1. This creates a life that is lopsided and brittle. It feels spiritually ugly. We are living in a house where all the furniture has been shoved into one corner, leaving the rest of the space barren and empty. There is no flow, no grace, no sense of aesthetic peace. We are living a life of brute force, not of elegant design. The inner conflict that keeps us trapped in this unbalanced state is the delusion of someday. We know we need more balance, but we treat it as a luxury we must earn, a reward that comes only after we have achieved the next goal. I'll have time for my hobbies and my peace of mind after I get this promotion. I'll focus on my well-being after this stressful project is finished. I'll rest after I am successful. But the finish line always moves. The project is replaced by a new one, the promotion by the next ladder to climb. Someday is the ego's favorite trick to keep us on the treadmill of striving, forever deferring the harmonious life our soul is crying out for right now. We live with an all-or-nothing mentality. believing that to find balance we must make a radical, terrifying leap, when in fact, harmony is found in a series of small, gentle adjustments. The antidote to this is to learn from the master architect of the universe. Throughout nature, art, and even the human body, there exists a specific mathematical relationship, a divine proportion known as the golden ratio. It is a number, often called phi, approximately 1.618. But you do not need to be a mathematician to understand its power. You only need to witness its beauty. This is the ratio that governs the elegant, spiraling chambers of a nautilus shell. It dictates the aesthetically perfect arrangement of petals in a flower and seeds in a sunflower head. The ancient Greeks used it to build the Parthenon, a structure that feels harmoniously right to the human eye, even millennia later. Leonardo da Vinci used it as the foundation for his most enduring masterpieces. The golden ratio is nature's formula for functional beauty and effortless grace. It is the principle that things are most beautiful and stable when their parts exist in a harmonious relationship to each other and to the whole. Our task is to become the artists of our own lives, using this principle not as a rigid mathematical formula, but as a metaphorical guide. The goal is to compose a life that feels as harmonious as a nautilus shell looks. It is about moving away from a life of lopsided extremes and cultivating a sense of rightness in the proportions of our existence. It is the search for the elegant balance between our core values, between the different demands on our time and energy. It is about creating a symphony where our value for growth and our value for peace are not clashing cymbals, but harmonious chords that create a richer, more beautiful sound together. The first practical step is to conduct a proportional audit of your life. Without judgment, simply become an observer of your own ratios. Take a piece of paper and reflect on these areas. What is the ratio of your time spent at work versus your time for genuine play and rest? What is the ratio of your energy given out to others versus your energy taken in for yourself? What is the ratio of your time spent communicating online versus your time spent in face-to-face connection? What is the ratio of your mind spent consuming information versus your mind spent in quiet, creative thought? What is the ratio of your conversation spent talking versus your conversation spent deeply listening? Be honest. See the current, lopsided design of your life clearly. This awareness is the necessary starting point. The second step is the small adjustment. You do not fix a house where all the furniture is in one corner by throwing everything out and starting again. You begin by moving one chair. Choose one of the unbalanced ratios you have identified, just one, and commit to making one small, conscious shift to move it slightly closer to harmony. If your work-to-rest ratio is dangerously high, the answer is not to quit your job. The answer might be to schedule a non-negotiable 20-minute walk without your phone in the middle of each workday. If your consumption-to-creation ratio is off, the answer is to dedicate the first 15 minutes of your morning to journaling or brainstorming ideas before you consume any news or social media. This is the 1% shift. It is small, manageable, and sustainable. It is a gentle nudge of the rudder, not a violent jerking of the wheel. As you make these small adjustments, your guide is not a calculator. Your guide is your own inner sense of aesthetic pleasure. Pay attention to how it feels. As you introduce a little more rest, a little more creativity, a little more quiet, does your life start to feel more graceful? Does it feel more spacious, more flowing, more beautiful? This inner feeling of rightness is your resonance with the golden ratio. It is your soul telling you that you are moving closer to a state of harmony. By consciously applying this principle, you move from being a victim of your life's frantic pace to being the composer of its symphony. You are no longer just living life, you are designing it. You are arranging the pillars of your core values into a structure of profound strength and beauty, a temple where your soul can peacefully reside. Harmony is not a distant reward for a life of struggle. It is a design principle that can be applied today, in this moment, with the smallest of choices. As we stand back and admire this new, more harmonious structure we are building, we notice something profound. The beauty of a great cathedral is not just in its stone pillars, but in the vast, silent space between them. The power of a great piece of music is not just in the notes, but in the resonant pauses that give them meaning. In any masterpiece of design, the elements that are present are only half of the story. To truly master the art of a harmonious life, we must now turn our attention from what we are building to the space in which we are building it. We must learn to appreciate and harness the incredible power of what is not there. It is time to explore the sacred emptiness. In our journey as inner architects, we have been focused on the act of building. We crystallized our values into solid pillars. We arranged them in the harmonious proportions of the golden ratio. We have been masters of form, of structure, of addition. But now we must turn to a principle that is equal in power, and, in our cluttered world, perhaps even more vital, the principle of subtraction. Look at any masterpiece of design. The beauty of a cathedral lies not only in its stone arches, but in the vast, light-filled space they contain. The power of a poem lies not only in the words, but in the silent white page that gives them breath. The emotion of a piece of music is carried as much by the pauses between the notes as by the notes themselves. In all things sacred and beautiful, the emptiness is not an absence. It is a presence. It is the silent partner to form, the space that gives all things their meaning. And we, in our modern lives, are terrified of it. We suffer from a collective horror vacui, a fear of the void. We have become a culture of fillers. We fill every spare moment of our time with distractions. Waiting in a line, we pull out a phone. Driving in a car, we immediately turn on the radio. At home, the television hums in the background, a constant companion to ward off the encroaching silence. We fill our schedules from dawn until dusk, believing that a busy life is a meaningful life. We fill our homes with possessions we do not need, and our minds with information we cannot possibly process. Why? Because we are running from the profound discomfort of empty space. We are terrified of what we might find or not find in the silence. We fear that if we stop, if we cease our constant doing and consuming, we will come face to face with a cavernous inner emptiness, a void of meaninglessness that would prove our greatest fears to be true, that we are alone and our lives are without purpose. This creates a torturous inner conflict. On the one hand, we are suffocating. We are drowning in our own clutter, exhausted by our own busyness, and overwhelmed by the relentless noise. We dream of simplicity, of space, of a life with less. On the other hand, the moment a pocket of actual emptiness appears a canceled appointment, an evening with no plans, we are seized by a low-grade panic. Anxiety rushes in to fill the vacuum. We feel restless, bored, and vaguely guilty. And so we immediately reach for a distraction, filling the very space we claim to crave. We are caught in a trap of our own making, perpetually exhausted by the clutter we are too afraid to release. The great spiritual traditions and the laws of sacred geometry teach us a different truth. Emptiness is not nothingness. The void is not a lack. It is the womb of all potential. It is the field of pure possibility from which all creation is born. You must understand this. A universe that is already full has no room for anything new to emerge. A life that is crammed with clutter, physical, mental, and spiritual, has no space to receive grace. The core message is a radical one for our culture. Your power to receive is directly proportional to your capacity for emptiness. Think of a cup. A cup is only useful because of its emptiness. A cup that is already full of stale, muddy water cannot receive the fresh, clear spring water you desire. To receive the new, you must first have the courage to pour out the old. Our lives are this cup, filled to the brim with old habits, old beliefs, stale resentments, and meaningless obligations. We pray for new inspiration, new opportunities, new love, but we leave no space for it to enter. The universe is waiting to give, but our hands are already full. Think of a blank canvas. An artist cannot create a masterpiece on a canvas that is already covered in a chaotic, ugly painting. They must begin with the terrifying, liberating potential of the blank space. Your life is this canvas. To paint a new vision, you must first be willing to clear what is already there. The emptiness is not a threat, it is an invitation. It is the clean slate upon which a new reality can be drawn. The practice, then, is the sacred art of clearing space. It is an act of faith, a declaration to the universe that you are ready to receive. This practice begins in the physical world, for the outer is always a reflection of the inner. I invite you to start small. Do not try to declutter your entire house. Choose one drawer, a single junk drawer in your kitchen or your office. Empty its entire contents onto the floor. Clean the inside of the drawer until it is pristine. Then, handle each object you removed. For each one, ask with ruthless honesty, is this truly useful or truly beautiful? Does this support the life I want to live? Only put back the things that elicit a clear yes. Let go of the rest. When you are done, open and close your newly spacious drawer. Feel its clean, light, potential-filled energy. You have just performed a magic ritual. You have created a physical vacuum that the universe will delight in filling with something new. Now, apply this to your digital life. Our minds are just as cluttered by our digital environments. Today, delete 5 applications from your phone that you have not used in the last 6 months. They are energetic anchors to a past self. Unsubscribe from 10 marketing emails that clog your inbox. Go through your social media feeds and unfollow every account that consistently makes you feel envious, angry, or less than. This is not censorship. This is curating your mental space with the same care that a museum curator chooses what to hang on their sacred walls. The next level is to create space in your schedule. Look at your calendar for the coming week. Find one 2-hour block of time and block it off. Label it sacred emptiness. This time is not for errands. It is not for chores. It is for nothing. When the time comes, your only instruction is to resist the urge to fill it. Sit, lie on the grass, walk with no destination. See what ideas, feelings, or impulses arise from the space you have created. You are making an appointment with serendipity. You are inviting the universe to surprise you. By courageously practicing the art of sacred subtraction, you are transforming your relationship with the void. You begin to see that emptiness is not a threat to be feared, but a sanctuary to be cherished. It is the fertile ground of creation. It is the quiet womb where your intentions can finally take root and grow without being choked by weeds. You are no longer a hoarder, clinging to the old and familiar. You are becoming a channel, clear and open, ready for life to flow through you in new and unexpected ways. We have now built a temple that is strong, harmonious, and spacious. We have crystallized our values, balanced our life's proportions, and cleared the inner space. Our foundation is set. Now, from within this sacred resonant chamber, we can begin to work with the most subtle and powerful energy of all. We can learn to tune the instrument of our own being. We can consciously change the frequency we are broadcasting, and in doing so, change the reality we attract. It is time to learn the physics of miracles. It is time to explore the resonance of your own true vibration. We have arrived in the inner sanctum. We have built a temple of the self that is strong in its triangular foundation, protected by its circular boundary, harmonious in its proportions, and spacious within. This sacred structure is not an inert building. It is a resonant chamber. And now, we must learn to play the instrument that is our own being. We must move from the world of form and structure into the subtle, powerful world of physics and frequency. For the ultimate secret is this: nothing is solid. Everything you see, everything you are, everything you experience is energy. And all energy is simply a vibration. Your thoughts are a vibration. Your emotions are a vibration. You are not a solid, static being. You are a broadcasting tower, sending out a complex, unique frequency into the energetic field of the universe, every moment of every day. This is the source of the feeling of being in sync or out of sync with life. When you feel like you are constantly hitting red lights, attracting draining people, and running into frustrating obstacles, it is not a matter of bad luck. It is a matter of resonance. You are broadcasting a frequency that is out of harmony with the reality you wish to experience. If your being is vibrating with the frequency of "I am not worthy," it is physically impossible for you to attract experiences that resonate with the frequency of "I am deeply valued." If your core frequency is one of scarcity and lack, you cannot perceive or receive the abundance that exists on a different frequency band. The universe is not punishing you. It is simply a perfect mirror, reflecting back to you the exact signal you are sending out. Here we confront the great conflict that derails so many spiritual seekers. It is the conflict between our intellectual desires and our emotional reality. On the surface, we do the right things. We write affirmations: "I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am loved." We create vision boards filled with images of our desired life. We try to think positive thoughts, but beneath this thin layer of conscious effort, our actual, moment-to-moment feelings state our true vibration is one of fear, doubt, anxiety, or resentment. We say the words, "I am abundant," while our entire body is clenched in the feeling of financial panic. We say, "I am open to love," while our heart is vibrating with the pain of past betrayals. The universe does not respond to the words you speak. It responds to the song you sing. It hears the vibration of your heart, not the vocabulary of your mind. And when your words and your feelings are in opposition, your feelings will always win. This is why so many feel frustrated, crying out, "Why isn't it working?" It isn't working because you are trying to tune your radio to the classical music station while your own broadcast tower is still playing heavy metal. It is time to reframe the popular law of attraction. It is more accurate and more empowering to call it the law of resonance. Attraction can imply a magical, mysterious pulling of things from afar. Resonance is physics. It is a measurable, observable phenomenon. Take two tuning forks of the exact same frequency. If you strike one, setting it vibrating, and hold it near the second, silent one, the second one will spontaneously begin to vibrate in sympathy. It will catch the resonance. It will not, however, affect a third tuning fork of a different frequency. You are the first tuning fork. Your life, the people in it, the events that occur are the second. To change the vibration of your life, you must first change the vibration of your own being. You do not chase the butterfly of happiness. You become a beautiful garden, and the butterfly comes to you. Your feeling state is your vibration. This is the key. The entire spectrum of human emotion can be understood as a scale of frequency. Emotions like shame, guilt, and fear vibrate at a very low, dense, and slow frequency. Emotions like anger and frustration vibrate slightly higher, but are still chaotic. Emotions like courage and acceptance begin to introduce more harmony. And at the top of the scale are the high, fast, and coherent frequencies of love, joy, peace, and most powerfully, gratitude. Your work, therefore, is not to control the external world. Your most sacred and important work is to become the tender and vigilant gardener of your own inner feeling state. Your job is to consciously, deliberately, choose to cultivate the high-frequency emotions that will make you a resonant match for the reality you desire. How do we do this? How do we tune this magnificent instrument of the self? We begin with the master key, the universal solvent for low frequencies, the practice of gratitude. It is almost physically impossible to feel anxious while in a state of genuine gratitude. It is impossible to feel resentment while feeling deep appreciation. Gratitude is the tuning fork that instantly calibrates your being to one of the highest frequencies available to a human. The practice is simple, but its effect is life-altering. Every morning before your feet touch the floor, before the world has a chance to impose its frequency on you, lie in your bed and consciously bring to mind 3 specific things for which you are genuinely grateful. Do not just make a mental list, feel them. If you are grateful for the warmth of your bed, do not just think the thought. Feel the softness of the blankets on your skin. Feel the safety and comfort. Let the actual, physical sensation of gratitude wash over you. If you are grateful for a person in your life, bring their face to mind and feel the love you have for them swell in your chest. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the vibrational shift. By starting your day in this high frequency, you are setting your resonant point. You are choosing the radio station you will listen to for the rest of the day. Throughout the day, become a conscious manager of your own state. When you notice yourself slipping into a low vibrational state of worry, gossip, or anger, you can use a pattern interrupt. You have the power to change the station. Put on a piece of music that you know always lifts your spirits. Step away from your desk and look at the sky for 60 seconds. Watch a short video that makes you laugh out loud. Call a friend who is a high vibration person. These are not frivolous acts of distraction. They are conscious acts of vibrational tuning. You are refusing to let your instrument be played by the chaotic energies of the world, and are instead choosing to play your own song. Furthermore, you must curate your vibrational diet. The people, media, places, and foods you consume all have a frequency, and they all affect your own. Spend less time with people who drain you and complain constantly. Spend more time with those who inspire you and see your potential. Unfollow the news outlets that profit from broadcasting fear and outrage. Follow artists, poets, and thinkers who broadcast wisdom and beauty. Spend time in Natura Forest, a beach, a park which has a naturally high and harmonious vibration that can recalibrate your own. You are the sum of the frequencies you surround yourself with. Choose them as if your life depends on it, because it does. By embracing your role as a conscious broadcaster, you step out of the illusion of victimhood and into the reality of your creative power. You understand that your life is not a random series of events, but a direct reflection of your inner state. Your primary focus shifts from trying to manipulate the outer world to diligently and lovingly tending to your inner world. By cultivating the high frequencies of gratitude, love, and joy, you become a resonant match for a life that mirrors these qualities back to you in miraculous and unexpected ways. You have tuned your instrument. It is now vibrating with a clear, beautiful, and powerful note. Now, with this power, you can begin to compose. It is time to move from being a finely tuned instrument to becoming the architect, using your own vibration as the primary building material for a new reality. We have tuned our being to a higher frequency. We are no longer a detuned instrument played by the chaotic hands of circumstance, but a resonant chamber, vibrating with the clear, powerful note of our own choosing. The law of resonance is now our ally. But to simply resonate, to passively attract, is only half of the equation. The next step in our evolution is to move from being a resonant instrument to becoming the composer. It is the conscious, deliberate, and joyful act of using our newfound vibrational power to build a new reality. It is the move from victim to architect. For generations, we have been conditioned to believe that life is something that happens to us. We see ourselves as small boats tossed on the vast, unpredictable ocean of circumstance. The economy, our upbringing, our genetics, the actions of others, these are the great waves and winds that determine our course. This belief, while offering the strange comfort of blamelessness, is the very foundation of a powerless existence. This victim mindset is a subtle poison. It is the voice of, I can't because. I can't start my own business because the market is too competitive. I can't be in a loving relationship because I always get hurt. I can't pursue my art because I have to be realistic. Each because is a handover of power. a surrender of our creative birthright to an external condition. We become a passive observer of a life we ourselves are meant to be creating, wondering why the scenery never changes. We stand before the marble of our life, complaining about its shape, forgetting that we are the sculptor and the chisel is in our own hand. The inner conflict that keeps us in this state of paralysis is the gap between our grandest vision and our current reality. We can all dream. We can vividly imagine the life we desire, the healthy, vibrant body, the fulfilling work, the deep and loving connections. The dream is beautiful and clear, but when we look at the immense chasm between that dream and where we stand today, we are seized by a sense of overwhelm. The sheer scale of the task, the thousands of steps that seem to be required, freezes us in our tracks. This paralysis is not laziness. It is the natural response to an improperly framed problem. We are trying to conceptualize building an entire cathedral at once, instead of focusing on laying a single perfect stone. And so, we retreat into the safe world of dreaming, and the building never begins. It is time to demystify the process of creation. It is not a mystical, complex art reserved for the gifted few. It is an architecture, a practical craft, with three fundamental tools. To build a new reality, you, the architect, must master these three tools. The first tool is thought, which serves as your blueprint. Before a single stone is laid for a cathedral, the architect has seen it completely in their mind. They have drawn the blueprints. Every arch, every window, every pillar exists in a state of perfect clarity on paper before it exists in the world. Your focused imagination is your blueprinting tool. This is not idle daydreaming. It is the disciplined act of creating a clear, detailed, and vivid mental image of your desired outcome. What does your healthy body reality look like? What clothes are you wearing? What activities are you doing? How does your skin look? What is the expression on your face? The more detailed and clear the blueprint, the easier it is to build. The second tool is emotion, which serves as your power source. A blueprint is just an inert piece of paper without energy. You can have the most beautiful architectural plans in the world, but without a power source to run the cranes, the saws, and the lights, nothing will be built. Your emotional state, your vibration, is the power plant for your entire creative project. This is the practice of generating the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. You must close your eyes, look at your mental blueprint, and then feel what it would feel like to be living in that reality right now. Feel the joy, the pride, the peace, the freedom. This feeling, this high-frequency vibration, is the most magnetic force in the universe. It is the energy that draws to you the people, the resources, the opportunities, the coincidences needed to make the blueprint a reality. Feeling is the fuel for creation. The third tool is action, which serves as your building material. A blueprint and a power source are still not enough. You cannot think and feel a cathedral into existence. You must lay the bricks. Action is the grounding force that pulls your energetic creation into the physical dimension. These actions do not need to be monumental. They are often small, simple, and the next most obvious step. It is sending the email. It is making the phone call. It is going for the walk. It is writing the first paragraph. While emotion magnetizes the opportunity, it is action that opens the door when it knocks. Inspired action, taken from a place of high vibration and clear intention, is the sacred mortar that holds your new reality together. Let us make this practical. The thought of building an entire cathedral is overwhelming. So let us start by building one small room. This is how you will prove to yourself that you are indeed the architect. First, choose your room. Pick one specific contained area of your life you would like to transform. Let us choose health. Not a vague "I want to be healthy," but the specific room of radiant well-being. Second, create the blueprint with your thoughts. Take out a journal and write a one-paragraph description of this finished room. For example, in my room of radiant well-being, I wake up each morning feeling deeply rested and energized. My body is strong, flexible, and free of pain. I move with a sense of ease and joy. I am nourished by delicious, healthy food, and my mind is clear and calm. I look in the mirror and see a person who is vibrant and alive. Read this blueprint every day. Third, generate the power with your emotions. Twice a day, for just 60 seconds, close your eyes and step into this room. Do not just see it, feel it. Feel the energetic buzz in your cells. Feel the pleasure of moving your pain-free body. Feel the sense of calm and centeredness. Generate the emotion of gratitude for this state of being, as if it is already your reality. You are charging your creative battery. Fourth, lay one brick with your action. Each day, ask yourself, what is one small, simple action I can take today that is in alignment with living in this room? The answer is not, start an impossible diet and exercise plan. The answer might be, I will drink a large glass of water right now. Or, I will go for a 15-minute walk after dinner. Or, I will go to bed 30 minutes earlier tonight. One brick. That is all. But you must lay it. The next day, you lay another. And another. Soon, you have a foundation. Then you have a wall. And one day, you will look around and realize you are standing in the very room you designed. This is the great secret of all creation, whether it is a cathedral, a symphony, or a life. It is the holy trinity of thought, emotion, and action working in unison. You are the architect who draws the plan. You are the power source that fuels the project. You are the builder who lays the stones. By starting with one small room, you build more than just a new aspect of your life. You build the unshakable belief in your own creative power. You will know not as a theory but as a lived experience that you are the cause, not the effect. You are the one who shapes reality. As you become a more confident architect, you will notice that the materials you choose and the designs you imagine are all filtered through a specific lens. The way you see the world determines the kind of world you can build. To become a true master builder, you must first become a master of the lens through which you view reality. You must understand how the very light of existence is bent and colored by the prism of your own perception. We have claimed our power as the architect of our reality. We have the blueprint of our thoughts, the power source of our emotions, and the building materials of our actions. We are ready to construct a life of our own design. Yet, the grandest blueprint is useless if the architect is looking at the world through a distorted lens. The quality of our creation is utterly dependent on the quality of our perception. We have been taught to believe that we see the world as it is, that our eyes are like cameras, passively recording an objective, fixed reality. This is the great illusion that holds humanity in bondage. The truth is, we do not see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. Your perception is not a clear window. It is a complex and unique prism. Imagine that raw, unfiltered reality, the universe in its infinite, unbiased potential is a beam of pure, white light. This white light contains all possibilities, all colors, all potential experiences. Your consciousness, shaped by your beliefs, your past experiences, your moods, and your values, acts as a multifaceted prism. When the pure white light of what is passes through the prism of your perception, it is bent, refracted, and split into a specific spectrum of colors. That spectrum is the world you experience. If your prism is clouded by a core belief that the world is a dangerous place, it will filter out the frequencies of kindness, opportunity, and safety, and it will project for you a reality colored by threat and fear. If a past heartbreak has etched a deep scratch onto your prism, you will see the flaws and potential for pain in every new relationship. 10 people can stand before the exact same event, and if they have 10 different prisms, they will witness and experience 10 entirely different realities. The stubborn belief that our perception is the truth is the source of immeasurable suffering. We defend our painful perspectives as if they were precious treasures. We argue for our limitations. "I'm just being realistic," we say, as we describe a world devoid of magic and possibility. We are clinging to the certainty of our own miserable worldview. The ego finds a strange comfort in being right, even if being right means living in a world of pain and limitation. It fears that to question its perception is to dissolve its very identity. This creates a powerful inner conflict. The soul's deep yearning for peace, beauty, and freedom clashes with the ego's terrified iron grip on its own painful but familiar version of reality. The great liberation, the key to becoming a master architect, is to understand this profound truth. You cannot change the white light of reality, but you have absolute and sovereign power over your own prism. You can clean it, you can polish it, you can even learn to change its shape and angle at will. You are not a victim of the world you see. You are the curator of the lens through which you see it. This is the ultimate freedom. The world doesn't need to change for you to experience peace. Your boss doesn't need to change for you to feel valued. Your circumstances don't need to change for you to feel abundant. You only need to adjust the prism through which you are looking. Think of your perception as a great stained glass window through which you view the world. The sun outside is always the same pure, brilliant light. But if your window is made of dark, heavy panes of blue and gray glass, the room you live in will be perpetually dim and somber. You can spend your whole life complaining about the gloomy light, trying to change the sun itself. Or you can realize that you are the artist who chose the glass, and you can, at any moment, begin to replace a dark pane with a piece of brilliant gold or radiant rose. The sun remains the same, but your entire experienced reality is transformed. The practical art of becoming the curator of your prism is the art of perspective shifting. The first step is to loosen the grip of your current automatic perceptions. When you find yourself caught in a painful thought about a situation, "This project is a disaster," "That person disrespected me," not automatically accept it as truth. Instead, engage it with a gentle curiosity. Ask yourself, is that absolutely true? What happens? How do I feel when I believe this thought? And most powerfully, who would I be? How would I feel in this exact same situation if I were unable to think this thought? This simple inquiry creates a space between you and your perception, and in that space lies your freedom. The next step is to consciously try on different prisms, like trying on different pairs of glasses. When you are faced with a challenge that feels overwhelming, try this exercise. First, look at it through your current, fearful prism and acknowledge the story it tells. Then, consciously decide to switch lenses. Try the mentor's prism. Think of someone you deeply admire for their wisdom and resilience. Ask yourself, how would they view this situation? What opportunities would they see here that I am missing? What would their first step be? Try the future self's prism. Imagine yourself 10 years from now, having successfully navigated this and many other challenges. From that high vantage point of wisdom and experience, look back at your current self. What advice would your future self give you? What do they know about this situation that you have forgotten? Try the comedian's prism. Ask yourself, is there anything remotely absurd or funny about my predicament? Humor is one of the most powerful tools for instantly changing your energetic frequency and breaking the spell of a negative perception. The goal of this practice is not to find the one right perspective. The goal is to shatter the illusion that there is only one right perspective. The moment you authentically experience the same situation from multiple viewpoints, you are freed from the prison of your initial reaction. You move from being a character trapped in a horror movie to being the director in the editing room, able to choose which camera angle tells the most empowering and beautiful story. This is the work of a master architect. You understand that the materials of your life, the events, the people, the circumstances are neutral. They are the raw stone. It is the lens of your perception that decides whether that stone will be used to build a prison or a palace. You begin to consciously choose the perceptions that serve you, that empower you, that align with the beautiful reality you are designing. You actively seek out evidence of kindness in the world to polish your prism with compassion. You read stories of innovation and success to tint your prism with the color of possibility. You spend time in nature to cleanse your prism with the pure vibration of beauty. As you master this art, your ability to create the life you desire accelerates exponentially. You are no longer fighting reality. You are collaborating with it. You see challenges not as obstacles, but as raw material for growth. You see people not as threats, but as teachers. You see the world not as a fixed and menacing place, but as a dynamic and responsive field of infinite potential, waiting for the command of your clear and beautiful perception. When you begin to see the world through this clear, harmonious lens, a deeper, more intricate pattern starts to reveal itself. You begin to notice strange and beautiful symmetries. You see how the way you manage your finances somehow mirrors the way you manage your intimate relationships. You see how the clutter on your desk reflects the clutter in your mind. You begin to suspect that the universe is not just a collection of separate things, but a single, unified whole, repeating its favorite patterns on every scale, from the microscopic to the cosmic. You are ready to understand the elegant, mind-bending principle of the fractal nature of consciousness. Through the clear, polished prism of our perception, we begin to see the world not as a collection of chaotic, separate events, but as a place of profound and hidden order. We notice uncanny synchronicities, repeating themes, and beautiful, intricate symmetries. The way a friend speaks about their relationship mirrors the way our boss speaks about a project. The pattern of our own procrastination shows up both in our creative pursuits and in our household chores. We are beginning to perceive the fundamental holographic nature of reality. We are ready to understand the elegant and powerful principle of the fractal. A fractal is a geometric pattern that repeats itself at every level of scale. If you zoom into a tiny piece of a fractal, you will find a perfect, miniature replica of the whole. Nature is filled with these divine patterns. The tiny branch of a tree has the same essential shape as the entire tree. A single frond of a fern is a perfect microcosm of the whole leaf. The jagged coastline of a continent looks the same, whether viewed from a great height or from just a few feet away. This principle is encoded in the ancient wisdom, as above, so below, as within, so without. This is not just a poetic phrase. It is a description of the fractal architecture of consciousness and reality. Your life is a fractal. We have been conditioned to live in a state of fragmentation. We believe our work self is separate from our family self. We imagine that our spiritual life, the person we are in meditation or prayer, has no connection to the person who gets frustrated in traffic. We think that our small, private habits show we keep our desk, how we speak to a service worker, whether we wash the dishes, promptly air insignificant details, disconnected from our grand, overarching goals of success, happiness, or enlightenment. This belief in separation is an illusion, and it is the reason we so often feel stuck. We are trying to heal one leaf of the fern while ignoring the pattern that is encoded in the entire plant. This leads to a profound inner conflict between our desire for a massive transformation and our disdain for the mundane. We are impatient creatures. We crave the quantum leap, the grand gesture, the lottery win that will instantly solve all our problems. We are drawn to radical diets, sudden cross-country moves, and dramatic career changes, believing that these big actions will create big results. And in our obsession with the grand gesture, we completely neglect the most powerful creative force we possess, the power of our small, daily, mundane actions. We procrastinate on making the bed, on cleaning our workspace, on answering that difficult email, because these tasks seem trivial. They lack the glamour of a life-altering breakthrough. And yet, the universe does not distinguish between large and small. It only recognizes the pattern of energy you are embodying. The core, life-altering message is this: how you do anything is how you do everything. The level of presence, care, discipline, and excellence you bring to the smallest, most insignificant seeming task is the very same energetic pattern you bring to your greatest challenges and your most cherished dreams. The universe doesn't see you making your bed. It sees you embodying a pattern of either order or chaos. The universe doesn't see you washing a dish. It sees you embodying a pattern of either presence or neglect. The fractal law dictates that this same pattern must, by necessity, replicate itself on all other scales of your life. If your desk is a chaotic mess, the underlying pattern of chaos will inevitably manifest in your finances, your relationships, or your health. If you do your work with a sloppy, good enough attitude, that same energy will define the quality of your spiritual growth. To change the entire fractal pattern of your life, you do not need to attack the whole overwhelming structure at once. You simply need to consciously and deliberately change the pattern in one of its smallest, most manageable iterations. This is the most practical and potent magic you will ever learn. To transform your entire reality, you must begin by transforming the way you do the most mundane things. I invite you to a practice. I invite you to choose one and only one small, recurring, mundane action in your daily life that you currently perform with neglect, sloppiness, or resentment. Perhaps it is the act of making your bed in the morning. Perhaps it is the way you throw your coat on a chair when you get home. Perhaps it is the act of washing your coffee cup as soon as you are finished with it. Perhaps it is the state of the driver's side of your car. Choose your one mundane thing. Now, for the next 7 days, your task is to transform this one small action into a sacred practice, a meditation in excellence. If you choose making your bed, your commitment is to do it not just adequately, but perfectly. Straighten the sheets, smooth the comforter until there are no wrinkles. Arrange the pillows with the care of a master designer creating a sanctuary. Do it with your full, undivided presence. Feel the texture of the fabric. Notice the play of light in the room. Infuse the action with an intention of bringing order, beauty, and peace to your world. Perform this one small act as if the quality of your entire life depended on it, because according to fractal law, it does. The second part of this practice is observation. As you bring this new level of conscious care to this one small fractal of your life, simply watch, with gentle curiosity, how the pattern begins to replicate itself in other, seemingly unrelated areas. As you bring meticulous order to your bed each morning, do you not find a new desire to bring order to your email inbox? As you bring presence to the simple act of washing your cup, do you not find yourself bringing more presence to your conversations? As you honor this small commitment to yourself, do you not find your overall sense of self-respect and discipline increasing? You are consciously reprogramming the seed pattern of your reality. The entire fern leaf must eventually conform to the new design of its smallest frond. This is the end of procrastination and overwhelm. You do not need to worry about fixing your entire life. You only need to focus on performing the next small task in front of you with absolute presence and integrity. By doing so, you are healing everything at once. You are a walking, breathing fractal of consciousness. The division between your inner and outer worlds is an illusion. They are simply different magnifications of the same, unified, repeating pattern. To change the world, change the pattern within yourself. To change the pattern within yourself, change the way you make your bed. This level of deliberate conscious presence, especially when applied to tasks that are boring or difficult, requires a deep well of inner strength. It cannot rely on motivation, which is a fleeting and unreliable emotion. It must be fueled by something more stable, more powerful, and more primal. It must be fueled by a force that you yourself generate from within. It is time to stoke the creative, purifying, and transformative fire of self-discipline. We have seen the truth of the fractal. We understand now that to change our entire life, we must change the way we perform the smallest, most mundane action. To bring this level of conscious, deliberate presence to our daily existence, especially when faced with tasks that are difficult, boring, or uncomfortable, requires a force that transcends mere motivation. Motivation is a fair-weather friend. It is the wind that fills your sails on a sunny day, but it vanishes in the storm, just when you need it most. To navigate the true journey of growth, we need something more reliable, more fundamental. We need an engine. This engine, this inner power source, is discipline. For most of us, the word discipline lands with a thud. It conjures images of punishment, of joyless restriction, of a cold, sterile existence. We associate it with a harsh teacher, a demanding parent, or a merciless drill sergeant. We see it as the enemy of freedom, a cage that prevents us from doing whatever we want, whenever we want. This profound misunderstanding is one of the greatest obstacles to our liberation. We have mistaken the tools of our freedom for the bars of a prison. It is time to shatter this illusion. It is time to reclaim the sacred fire of discipline. Within each of us, a timeless battle is waged. It is the story of the two wolves. One wolf is the embodiment of our lower, impulsive nature. It is the wolf of immediate gratification, of comfort, of laziness. It craves the sugary snack over the nourishing meal, the extra hour of sleep over the clarity of a morning meditation, the mindless distraction of a screen over the challenging work of creation. It lives only for the fleeting pleasure of the moment. The other wolf is the embodiment of our higher self, our soul's purpose. It is the wolf of growth, of strength, of long-term vision. It thrives on challenge. It finds joy in meaningful effort. It understands that true, lasting satisfaction is forged, not found. Every day, every moment, you are faced with a choice. Which wolf will you feed? The snooze button feeds one wolf. Getting out of bed feeds the other. Procrastination feeds one. Focused work feeds the other. The choice you make determines which wolf grows stronger and which one starves. Discipline is not the act of killing the wolf of comfort. It is the conscious, deliberate, and consistent act of feeding the wolf of purpose. We must radically reframe our understanding. Discipline is not a prison that restricts you. It is a forge that refines you. A prison is cold and designed to weaken. A forge is filled with intense, purifying fire designed to transform. It is in the forge that raw, useless iron is heated, hammered, and plunged into water over and over, until it is transformed into the unbreakable, gleaming steel of a master's sword. The challenges of your life are the heat. The difficult tasks you don't feel like doing are the hammer. Your discipline is your willingness to step into the forge each day. It is the sacred fire that burns away your impurities, your weakness, your excuses, your self-doubt, leaving only the untarnishable, powerful core of your true character. This is why self-discipline is the highest and most sincere form of self-love. Indulging your every whim is not self-love. That is the act of a negligent parent, spoiling a child who will grow up weak and unprepared for the world. True, fierce, unconditional self-love is the act of making the hard choices now that will give your future self the gifts of strength, health, wisdom, and freedom. When you choose to exercise even when you are tired, you are sending a love letter to the future you who will live in a vibrant, healthy body. When you choose to sit down and do your creative work even when you are uninspired, you are making a sacred offering to the future, you who will live a life of purpose. Discipline is the bridge between the person you are today and the person you have the potential to be. And what of freedom? The undisciplined person is not free. They are a slave. They are a slave to their moods, their appetites, their addictions, and the approval of others. Their freedom to do whatever they want is an illusion. They are simply reacting to the strongest impulse of the moment. The truly free person is the disciplined one. The discipline of the pianist gives them the freedom to create breathtaking music. The discipline of the athlete gives them the freedom to command their body to perform feats of grace and power. The discipline of the meditator gives them the freedom to choose peace in the midst of chaos. Discipline creates ability. Ability creates options, and options create freedom. The cage is not discipline. The cage is the lack of it. So how do we cultivate this sacred fire without it feeling like a punishment? We do so by changing our language and our intention. Let us replace the cold, hard word discipline with the warm, heartfelt word devotion. Devotion is not a chore. It is a joyous, focused offering. It is an act of love. Instead of waking up and asking, "What must I force myself to do today?" ask a new question. What am I devoted to today? Are you devoted to your physical vitality? Are you devoted to your peace of mind? Are you devoted to your creative expression? Are you devoted to your financial freedom? Or, by your inaction, are you proving that you are devoted to your comfort, your distractions, and your excuses? Once you have declared your devotion for the day, choose one small corresponding action. If you are devoted to your peace of mind, your devotional act is to meditate for 10 minutes. If you are devoted to your vitality, your devotional act is to complete your workout. Then, perform this act not with the resentful energy of a slave, but with the focused presence of a devotee laying a flower at a sacred altar. You are not forcing yourself to exercise. You are making a sacred offering of movement at the altar of your own vitality. You are not making yourself right. You are engaging in a devotional practice to the God of your own creativity. This simple shift in language and intention transforms a joyless chore into a powerful, soul-affirming ritual. When you live a life of devotion, of sacred discipline, you are tempering your own soul. You are hammering away the soft, impure parts of yourself and revealing the brilliant, resilient core within. You are no longer a piece of raw iron, but a finely crafted sword, strong and flexible, gleaming with an inner light. This inner strength, this purity of being, allows you to perceive a new level of reality. You begin to feel that your own soul, this finely forged instrument, is not an isolated entity. You begin to sense that its vibration is part of a much larger symphony, that its geometric pattern is a single, perfect tile in an infinite mosaic. Your personal journey of refinement has prepared you to recognize your connection to the universal whole. It is time to see how your own beautiful, unique soul fits into the all-encompassing divine blueprint of creation, the flower of life. The sacred fire of discipline has forged your soul into a thing of strength and beauty. The impurities have been burned away, the weaknesses have been tempered, and what remains is a being of integrity and resilience. From this new place of inner stability, you can now lift your gaze from the intimate work of your own creation and look out upon the world with new eyes. And with these new eyes, you can finally confront the most pervasive and painful illusion of the human condition, the illusion that you are separate. We are born into a story of I. We are taught to see ourselves as isolated islands of consciousness, single, fragile egos adrift in a vast and indifferent cosmos. This belief in our separateness is the root of our deepest fears, our most profound loneliness, and our most destructive behaviors. It fuels competition, jealousy, and conflict. It is the core wound from which all others stem. This feeling of being an island creates a deep inner conflict. The soul, in its infinite wisdom, yearns to dissolve the boundaries, to merge with the whole, to experience the ecstatic release of true connection. It remembers a time before the story of I began. Yet the ego, the guardian of our individual identity, is terrified of this dissolution. It clings to the walls of its separation, believing that to merge with the whole is to die. What will happen to me? It cries. If I am not special and separate, then I am nothing. This fear keeps us trapped on our lonely islands, waving cautiously at other ships from a safe distance, longing for connection but terrified of what it might cost us. It is time to overlay a new geometric pattern upon your understanding, a pattern that reveals the sublime truth of your existence. This is the ancient, sacred symbol known as the flower of life. Visualize it, a series of perfectly uniform, overlapping circles, interconnected in a pattern of exquisite harmony and infinite expansion. It is a blueprint of creation itself. Now, understand this. Your soul, your unique and beautifully forged being, is one of the central circles in this infinite pattern. You are a perfect, complete, and whole circle. But you are not, and have never been, alone. Your existence is defined by its perfect, intrinsic interconnection with every other circle in the pattern. You are not lost in the pattern. You are an essential part of its beauty and completion. Your unique circle is what makes the whole possible. Your individuality is not erased by this connection. It is fulfilled by it. The very points where your circle overlaps with others are the sacred Vesica Piscis gateways we have already explored. These are the points of relationship, of empathy, of shared experience. It is where your life touches another's parison. And through these connections, you are woven into the fabric of all that is. This is the great secret. Your personal, inner work is never just personal. When you heal yourself, when you raise your own vibration, when you bring your own being into a state of harmonious balance, you send a resonant, healing pulse through the entire grid. Your courage gives another strength. Your peace gives another permission to rest. Your love awakens the love in another. Your journey out of the darkness is a light for all of humanity. This truth is echoed in the great wisdom traditions. The Buddhists speak of Indra's net, a celestial net that stretches to infinity, and at every node of the net hangs a single, perfect jewel. Each jewel reflects every other jewel in its polished surface. When you look deeply into any one jewel, you see the entirety of the net. You are one of these jewels. Your consciousness contains the reflection of the whole universe, and the whole universe contains the reflection of you. We are each a microcosm of the macrocosm. Consider a great forest. On the surface, we see a collection of individual trees competing for sunlight. But underground, a hidden reality exists. A vast intelligent network of fungal threads, a mycelial network, connects the roots of every tree into a single, unified organism. Through this web, the trees share nutrients, pass information about threats, and support the young and the weak. The forest is not a collection of trees. It is a single consciousness. Humanity is this forest. On the surface, we see separate individuals. But on the level of the soul, we are all interconnected by a living web of consciousness. This is not a mere philosophy. It is a truth you can experience. And the practice begins with the breath. Your breath is your most immediate and intimate connection to the whole. As you inhale now, acknowledge this truth. I am breathing in the air that has passed through the lungs of every ancestor who came before me. I am breathing the same substance as the great trees, the same atoms that were forged in distant stars. I am taking the world into myself. And as you exhale, set this intention. I am breathing out peace to the world. I am contributing my own calm to the collective field. My well-being is a gift to the whole. With every breath, you are engaged in a sacred exchange with all of life. You can practice this in your interactions. The next time you are with another person, whether a loved one or a stranger, look beyond their personality, their ego, their story. Try to see the circle of their soul. Recognize them as another jewel in Indra's net, another fractal of the divine consciousness. Acknowledge silently, you are another version of myself. Your joy is my joy. Your suffering is my suffering. This does not mean you must condone their behavior or abandon your boundaries. It means you see beyond the temporary play of personality to the eternal reality of our shared essence. This practice dissolves judgment and opens the heart to a new level of compassion. The illusion of separation is the final great prison of the mind. To step out of it is to come home. It is to understand that you have never been alone, that you are an intricate, beloved, and absolutely essential part of a divine, intelligent whole. Your life is not a solitary struggle. It is a collaborative dance. The universe is not happening to you. It is happening through you and as you. Embracing this profound interconnectedness changes everything. It alleviates the terrible burden of the isolated self. It imbues your personal journey with a universal sense of purpose, and it invites you into a new way of moving through the world. If you are not a separate drop, but a wave in a single, great ocean, what happens when you stop fighting the current? What happens when you cease trying to force your own path and learn to trust the wisdom of the great river of which you are a part? It is the final act of letting go. It is the journey from the discipline of doing to the grace of being. It is the path of surrender. We have arrived at the shore of the great cosmic ocean. Through the lens of the flower of life, we have seen the sublime truth of our own interconnectedness. The story of the separate, isolated I has dissolved, and we now feel ourselves to be a single, essential part of the indivisible whole. We are not a lonely boat upon the water. We are the water itself, and if this is true, if we are all part of one great flowing river of consciousness, then we must confront the source of our deepest and most profound exhaustion, our lifelong, futile, and heroic struggle to swim upstream. From the moment we develop a sense of self, we begin to fight the current. We believe that we know best. We create rigid plans, timelines, and expectations for how our life should unfold. We build dams of resistance against experiences we don't want, and we desperately try to channel the river's flow towards the outcomes we desire. This constant effort, this white-knuckled grip on the tiller of our lives, stems from a fundamental lack of trust in the river itself. We believe that if we were to let go, even for a moment, the current would sweep us into the rocks of disaster and ruin. We believe our control is the only thing keeping us safe. This belief is the ultimate illusion, and it is the cause of our greatest suffering. The river of life has only one destination, the vast, peaceful ocean of your own highest good. It knows the way. Your struggle to control it does not change its course. It only exhausts you, leaving you battered and bruised on the journey. This inner conflict is between the ego's terror of the unknown and the soul's wisdom of trust. The ego equates control with safety. It believes that letting go is an admission of failure, a sign of weakness. It confuses surrender with giving up. Giving up is a state of despair. It is the exhausted, low-energy sigh of "I have failed." Surrender, however, is the ultimate act of courage and strength. It is the calm, high-energy declaration of "I trust in a power and an intelligence greater than my own limited mind." It is the wisdom to stop fighting a battle you were never meant to win. The ego is terrified of this, for in true surrender, the ego must relinquish its position as the master of your life. It must bow to a greater wisdom, and this, for the ego, feels like death. It is time to radically reframe your understanding of this sacred act. Surrender is not passivity. It is not becoming a limp log to be tossed about by the currents. It is becoming a master canoeist. The novice fights the river, paddling furiously against the main current, and quickly capsizes. The master studies the river. They respect its power. They understand its eddies and its flow. They use the river's own energy to navigate, dipping their paddle in the water not to fight the current, but to gently steer within it. They surrender to the river's direction, but they remain an active, conscious participant in the journey. This is the grace of surrender. It is an intelligent collaboration with the divine. To surrender is to release your attachment to a specific outcome, while remaining completely committed to your intention. You use the tools of the architect. You create your blueprint with clear thought. You power it with high vibration emotion, and you lay the bricks with inspired action. You do your part with excellence and devotion, and then you let go. You release your rigid timeline. You release your narrow-minded insistence on how it must unfold. You surrender your creation to the greater wisdom of the river, trusting that it knows a more elegant, efficient, and beautiful path to the ocean than your small mind could ever conceive. This is when miracles happen. The river may take you on a detour you didn't expect, showing you a hidden waterfall of insight. It may deliver your desire in a form that is more magnificent than you dared to imagine. When you surrender the how, you open yourself up to the infinite creativity of the universe itself. The metaphors for this grace are all around us in nature. A leaf in autumn does not cling to the branch in fear. It simply lets go and surrenders to the wind, dancing and spiraling in a final, beautiful ballet. It trusts the process of release. A master sailor does not curse the wind or try to blow against it. They cannot control the wind. Instead, they study its direction and then skillfully adjust their sails to harness its power. They use the very force they cannot control to carry them to their destination. Your life is this sailboat. The events and circumstances outside your control are the wind. Surrender is the art of adjusting your sails. You do not learn this art by surrendering your entire life at once. You learn it by practicing with the small frustrations, the daily moments where your plan clashes with reality. This is the practice of micro-surrenders. You are stuck in a traffic jam, and you are going to be late. The ego tightens its grip. It fills your body with stress hormones. It curses the other drivers. It feels like a victim. This is a perfect opportunity to practice. Take a deep breath. Consciously release the tension in your shoulders and your jaw. Look around you and say, I am in traffic. I cannot change this fact right now. I surrender my need to control this. You can then choose to see this not as a prison, but as an unexpected gift of time. A time to simply breathe. A time to listen to a piece of music. A time to be still. You have adjusted your sails. A plan you were looking forward to is canceled at the last minute. The ego feels disappointed, rejected, and frustrated. This is another chance to practice. Instead of dwelling in the frustration, take a breath and ask a new question. Okay, this plan has changed. The universe has given me the gift of an empty space. What new and unexpected opportunity is waiting for me in this space? You are not giving up. You are opening up to a different possibility. In these moments, you can use a simple, powerful mantra to anchor your intention. Silently repeat to yourself, I release my attachment to how I thought this should be. I trust the process of my life. Each time you say this, you are consciously transferring power from your fearful, controlling ego to your wise, trusting soul. You are letting go of the oars and allowing the current to guide you. This is the ultimate paradox of power. The more you try to control your life, the more powerless you feel. The more you surrender to the intelligent flow of life, the more gracefully and powerfully you move. You are no longer fighting reality. You are dancing with it. You are no longer an exhausted swimmer, but a master canoeist, moving with ease and purpose down the great, shining river of your own existence. When this state of surrender becomes your new default, when you can exist in a state of relaxed trust, the journey is nearly complete. The struggle ceases. The fight is over. There is no longer a you who is separate from the river trying to get somewhere. You and the river are one. The seeker has merged with the path. The architect has become the temple. The instrument has become the music. All that is left is the final, effortless step of integration. It is the realization that you no longer need to build the blueprint, because you are the blueprint, and all you have to do is live. We have journeyed far. We have traveled down the great river of the self, from the fractured headwaters of our perceived brokenness to the vast, peaceful ocean of surrender. We have stopped fighting the current. We have released our desperate grip on the oars of control. We are floating now, held in the intelligent, loving embrace of the divine flow. The journey of striving is over, and here, in this place of ultimate arrival, we face the final and most subtle trap of the spiritual path. The temptation to remain a student forever. We live in an age of infinite information. We can spend a lifetime accumulating spiritual knowledge. We read the books, we listen to the podcasts, we attend the workshops. We can build a magnificent intellectual cathedral dedicated to the concepts of enlightenment, vibration, and harmony. We can collect theories and techniques like treasures. But this knowledge, if it remains only in the mind, is a collection of beautiful, unused tools hanging on a wall. It is a map of a promised land that we have never set foot in. There comes a point where the accumulation of more knowledge is not a form of growth, but a form of procrastination. It is the last hiding place of the ego, which finds it far safer to be a seeker of the truth than to be a living, breathing embodiment of it. This creates the final inner conflict, the chasm between knowing the path and walking the path. It is the gap between the person we are in our meditations and the person we are in a traffic jam. It is the impatience to arrive at some final, enlightened destination, which paradoxically keeps us from the simple, profound, and sometimes messy work of being present in our lives as they are today. The identity of the perpetual seeker is comfortable. It carries no responsibility. The identity of the one who has found, the one who embodies, is terrifyingly simple and infinitely demanding. It demands that our life become our teaching, that our every action become our prayer. The time for seeking is over. The blueprint you have been so diligently searching for is not a map to be followed. It is a reality to be lived. The sacred geometry is not a diagram to be studied. It is the living, breathing, cellular intelligence of your own being. The final step is not one of learning something new. It is the step of embodiment. It is the full and complete integration of all that you have discovered, so that the division between what you know and who you are dissolves entirely. Harmony ceases to be a goal you are striving for. It becomes the very atmosphere you breathe. Vibration is no longer something you try to raise. It is the natural frequency that emanates from your centered being. Your life is no longer a project to be worked on. It is a masterpiece to be lived. Think of a great musician. In the beginning, they are separate from the music. They read the notes on the page. They practice the scales with discipline. They struggle with the instrument. But there comes a moment in their mastery when the separation dissolves. The musician is no longer playing the music. The musician becomes the music. The song flows through them, effortless and alive. There is no thought, no technique, only pure embodied expression. This is the journey you have completed. You have learned the notes. You have practiced the scales. You are now ready to become the song. You have spent this journey as the architect of a sacred temple, the temple of your own soul. You drew the blueprints. You laid the foundation. You raised the pillars. The final act is not to stand outside and admire your work. It is to move in and live there. It is to have the profound realization that you are not the builder of the temple. You are the temple. You are the sacred space. You are the altar. You are the silence and the resonance that fills the halls. Your very presence consecrates the ground upon which you walk. And so, the final practice is the simplest and most profound of all. It is the practice of identity. It is the practice of I am. It is no longer an affirmation of what you want to be, but a declaration of what you have now realized you are. In the quiet moments upon waking, before the world has rushed in, and in the sacred moments before sleep, when the veil between the worlds is thin, place your hand upon your heart, take a deep breath, and with a quiet, calm conviction, state your true nature. I am harmony. I am peace. I am creative energy. I am divine love. I am abundance. I am whole. Do not say I will be or I am becoming. Let go of all striving. You must assume the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. You must live from the end. You must come from this state of being, not work your way towards it. When you are faced with a choice, ask yourself, as the embodiment of peace, how would I respond here? When an opportunity appears, ask, as the embodiment of abundance, how would I engage with this? You are no longer referencing a map. You are being the territory. You are no longer trying to follow the blueprint. You are living as the blueprint. This is the culmination of your journey. You looked into the shattered mirror and saw only fragments, but now you see the unbreakable whole. You stood in the cacophony of the world, but now you hear your own fundamental note. You were pulled by the gravity of the past, but now you are anchored in the still point of the present. You were a ship adrift, but now you have the rudder of intention. Your life was a wobbly, one-legged stool, but now it is a stable, sacred triangle. Your energy was leaking away, but now it is contained within the luminous circle of your awareness. You thought you were trapped in a circle of repetition, but now you feel yourself ascending the sacred spiral. You lived a divided life, but now you stand in the creative gateway of the Vesica Piscis. You fought the rhythms of your life, but now you flow with the wisdom of the tides. You lived by borrowed values, but now you stand on the bedrock of your own crystallized truth. Your life was a study in dissonance, but now it is a masterpiece of golden ratio harmony. You feared the void, but now you find your power in the sacred emptiness. You struggled to change your life, but now you are the architect of your reality. You saw through a dark and distorted lens, but now you see through the brilliant prism of a loving perception. You felt like a separate piece, but now you know yourself as a fractal of the whole. You resisted discipline, but now you are forged in the devotional fire. You felt alone, but now you see yourself as an essential thread in the flower of life. You fought the river, but now you have surrendered to its divine flow. You have done the work. The search is over. You are the one you have been waiting for. You are the sacred geometry. You are the divine design. Now, simply be. And so, we arrive not at an end, but at a true beginning. We have traveled the intricate pathways of the self, not to construct something new, but to uncover what was primordially true. The journey to find the sacred geometry of your soul was never about becoming a different person. It was the archaeological expedition to unearth the masterpiece you have always been. You were never a project to be fixed. You were a treasure to be revealed. The blueprint was never lost, only covered by the dust of disbelief and the noise of a fearful world. Imagine yourself now, standing in the center of a vast and silent cathedral. The light that pours through the high windows is pure and golden. You feel an unshakable foundation beneath your feet, and you recognize it as the bedrock of your own crystallized values. You look up at the soaring arches, seeing how they hold immense weight with an impossible grace, and you understand that this is the harmony of the golden ratio at work in your own life. The light itself is colored by the magnificent stained glass windows, and you see that they are not glass, but the multifaceted prism of your own perception, which you have polished and learned to consciously direct. The air within this space is resonant, filled with a deep and peaceful hum. It is the vibration of your own true note, echoing in the sacred emptiness you are no longer afraid to hold. You see the intricate, repeating patterns carved into the stone, and you recognize the fractal nature of your own consciousness, where the whole is reflected in every part. You stand in this magnificent space, filled with a sense of awe and homecoming. And then, the final revelation dawns. You are not a visitor here. You did not stumble upon this sacred place. You are the architect who dreamed it into being. You are the builder who forged it with the fire of your discipline and the courage of your surrender. And you are the temple itself. You are not in the sacred space. You are the sacred space. The silence, the light, the resonance, it is all you. The universe was never waiting for you to become worthy. It was never waiting for you to be perfect. It was only ever waiting for you to be yourself, your true, magnificent, geometrically divine self. The symphony of creation has a space in its score that only you can fill, a note that only you can sing. The journey inward is complete. The blueprint is in your hand, and you see that it is a mirror. The music is beginning. It is time to play your part.